Hi everyone, I'm Revant Konakanchi, Head of Engineering at NextWave and an IIT alumnus. Today, I will talk to you about something that's already part of your everyday life, AI. You use AI to write Instagram captions, to finish assignments, to search for information, to reply faster on WhatsApp or email. And that's completely okay. But most people are only using AI. Very few actually understand how it works or how to make it work for them. That's exactly where the MCP workshop by NextWave comes in. In this workshop, you'll start by understanding what AI really is and how tools like ChatGPT actually work behind the scenes. You will learn why AI can't access real-time data on its own and how connecting it to tools and systems changes everything. You'll build amazing automations like making AI send emails, post on LinkedIn, and fetch information automatically without you moving a single finger. You'll also see how AI can take actions on its own by using live data and logic. By the end of this workshop, you'll clearly understand how to turn ideas into working AI systems. This workshop isn't about just learning tools. It's about learning how to think and build like an AI engineer. It's time that you move from just using AI to actually building with it. Come join me at this MCP workshop by NextWave. Let's get started. So we'll understand what MCP is about and how the industry is looking at MCP initially. Okay, so initially, in the past 2 years or 3 years since the invent of ChatGPT, you might be using ChatGPT to ask multiple different questions, and it gives you back with multiple different answers. Right now, this particular AI is taking a leap step ahead in terms of also doing a lot of actions for you. Right. So that's where MCP comes into the picture. So now you can ask AI to perform multiple different actions on behalf of you, and the AI will do that. So for that, it we'll be using MCP. Right now, more than 2,000 plus different companies, be it starting from LinkedIn, Spotify, YouTube. So all these companies are supporting these MCPs to perform, to integrate with multiple different AI chatbots or AI tools to perform actions on behalf of you. Right. So you can think of MCP like plugging this AI ecosystem with a lot of real world tools around you. You can plug in with a lot of tools like, as I mentioned, LinkedIn, Spotify, or Zerodha. So we'll see all these examples now, right? So first we'll understand what MCP is about. I'll understand how it's going to add value for you, and then we'll dive deep into the technicalities. Okay, right. So now let's say take the example of Zerodha. Zerodha is an online stock brokering platform, right? So now typically if you want to analyze your portfolio, like which stocks do you have, how much profit you have made, how much loss you have made, you typically have to go to Zerodha, go to its dashboard, and try to understand data from there, right? So but what if you have a chatbot, you have an chatbot like ChatGPT itself, ChatGPT or Claude or any other chat application, which can directly connect with this Zerodha, and you can just simply ask questions like which of my holdings performed worst in the last quarter. When you ask this question, it can automatically connect with all these with Zerodha and get your data and give you real time information. Okay, that's what MCP is about. You can ask multiple different questions. You can also ask it to do perform actions on behalf of you. For example, you can open the chat GPT and connect your Zerodha MCP, and then you can just tell buy 2 stocks for me on a company like TCS at so and so price, and it will perform all these actions for you. Okay, so that's where MCP is kind of bringing AI to do a lot of actions on behalf of you. Earlier with just ChatGPT, it's all about retrieving information, understanding what you can ask multiple different questions and it's going to answer for you. But using Zerodha, using MCPs, you can perform a lot of actions on behalf of you, right? So we'll see what that is about, right? So we'll see one more example. Let's say you guys in your engineering right now, you might be practicing a lot of problem solving questions, right? Or in other platforms like LeetCode and all. So let's say now, if you have an MCP which would kind of connect all this data, so you can just simply ask your chatbot. It could be ChatGPT. You can just simply ask which are the problems that are solved in 10 minutes, because you just have only 10 minutes of time somewhere in between your breaks. So you can just simply ask which are the problems that are solved in less than 10 minutes, and that will give you a list of all these questions, and you can just simply open particular question and solve it. So it's going to become as simple as that. Okay, so there could be other questions that you can ask, like show me all hard level questions solved by a particular person. So in this way you can ask multiple different questions, and all this data gets connected with MCP. Whichever tool you're using, it gets connected with MCP to your AI, and it will retrieve all this data and give you the responses. right? So one more example is, let's say you have a train travel today. Okay. So now, typically what, if to track where your train is, or, any, to make your reservations or anything, you just open the IRCTC website, or, any other railway portal, and, you do all these bookings, right? But what if you have a chatbot which would, connect to these railways infrastructure using MCP, and just, you can simply tell, I want to travel from, Vijayawada to Hyderabad on so and so date, show me the list of trains, and the chatbot will directly give you the list of trains, and you can just simply select one particular train, and you can ask it to book tickets for you, you know on second AC or third AC, or whichever is your choice. You can ask it to book these tickets, and it will, complete the booking as well. So how simple it's going to be. So that's where, MCP has gained all the buzz, right? Because of, how simple it's making, your experiences. A lot of companies are, adopting these MCP, and, kind of building a lot of tools on top of it, right? Great. So now I think people are right now saying MCP is the future tech. I would say it's already there, right? Lots of companies, be it ChatGPT, be it, Claude, be it Gemini, or, Google, in terms of, Gmail, Google Drive, YouTube, or, LinkedIn, Spotify. In this way, a lot of all these major leading companies are using MCPs, doing performing actions on behalf of you, right? So it's MCP is already the present rather than, being the future tech. So let's see some, numbers in terms of, how this MCP is already being adopted by the overall international community. Right, right now already more than 100K plus developers are building lots and lots of tools using these MCPs. Right, so you can understand how important it has become. Right, and now you can see that close to 2K plus 2000 plus different tools, right? So I have mentioned about some tools like LinkedIn and Spotify, right? In this way, there are 2000 plus different companies which are already using MCPs, and releasing their MCP servers, and lot all multiple different applications are integrating with these particular servers, and kind of building applications using it, right? So that's how fast it's being adopted and being used. Okay, so MCP is not a trend, it's becoming a default standard of how AI interacts with the world. Okay, so right until now, without MCPs, ChatGPT and all have, you can just ask it questions, and it will give you back responses. It will search the internet, or it will give you multiple different data. But performing actions, AI directly performing actions on behalf of you, is the new trend. Like it's where the world is evolving into. So that's where MCP has come into the picture, and now it has become a default standard in terms of how AI is going to interact with the real world. Okay, so we'll understand what all this is about. It's very simple. We are going to dive deep into all of this. You just have to understand that MCP is how AI is going to interact with the real world. So that's the standard using which AI is going to interact with the real world. Okay, right. So we'll also see some of the news about how MCP is being adopted. You guys have been using laptops, right? So most of you would be using the Windows OS, right? So Windows very recently announced that it's going to support this MCP to make these real world tools interact with AI and your Windows laptop. For example, I'll give you an example. Let's say you have some file sitting on your Windows laptop, right? So if using the MCP protocol, now you can ask a chatbot to open this file, read that particular information, and kind of give you back what the response is. Or you can ask your AI chatbot to simply create a file and store all this data into your laptop. Okay, you don't have to leave your chatbot at all. You can just simply use the ChatGPT interface itself. Over there, you can just type all this thing, and it will perform all this action and save that file on your laptop. Right. So how beautiful it's going to be, right? So without leaving any of your day-to-day your chatbot itself, all these actions are performed behind the scenes using this MCP protocol. Okay, right. So now, brief introduction of MCP is, MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. So it's a protocol, but protocol, it's a set of rules and guidelines that different companies are following. Okay, it's released by Anthropic. Anthropic is the company behind, Claude. Claude is a chatbot, right? So it's similar to ChatGPT, you have Claude, right? The company behind Claude is, Anthropic, and it has released this protocol called MCP, and now all major leading AI companies like OpenAI, Gemini, which is the Google DeepMind, and all these companies are adopting these MCP, and making it a default standard for for all companies to kind of use this MCP to build tools that would interact with their AI, right? So that's how it's finally being adopted by everyone in the industry, right? So again, as I mentioned, this MCP is again very easy to learn. There isn't any different signs that you have to struggle very hard to learn about what this MCP is. Just by end of this workshop, in these 3 hours, you'll understand what MCP is, why it is required, what are the advantages of it, and then you're also going to build real world projects. You're going to build more than 3 to 4 different projects using these MCPs, and then you can also create your own MCP servers also by end of this workshop. So it's very easy to learn, and at the same time, you can't ignore it anymore. It has become a default standard, and of using these MCP, you can build a lot of real world applications. Okay, right. So one very important thing is what we have noticed is right now all recruiters are whenever they're screening their resumes, screening the candidate resumes, if they find that you have built a lot of projects using MCPs or AIs or LLMs or AI chatbots, they're giving a lot of importance for that particular resumes. So that will this skill is the utmost important thing that you can learn now to improve the weight on your resume, and get multiple different opportunities doing your jobs or internships or any other in your career overall as such. Okay, right. So and also just by learning this MCP and kind of building tools using MCPs, you will be way ahead in the AI curve as well. As an individual, you'll be much ahead, and this will give you a lot of importance, or you give you a lot of weightage for your resume, and you'll get shortlisted into a lot of multiple different companies as well. So it has become such an important skill, right? So by end of this 3 hours of workshop, you are going to build 3 4 multiple different projects using MCPs, and you're also going to earn a project certificate, and you can add it to your resume, and it will give a lot of weight for your resume as well. All right, a quick test for you. No googling, no guessing later. You'll get 5 seconds for this question. Okay, so let's see how sharp your AI instincts really are. Ready? Let's go. The first question: what is the main role of MCP? Model Context Protocol. Option A, to define a standard way for AI models to interact with external tools and data. Option B, to train large language models. Option C, to store user chat history. Option D, to design UI components for AI apps. 5 seconds on the clock. Go. The correct answer is option A, to define a standard way for AI models to interact with external tools and data. If this question made you pause, imagine what you'll learn when you actually build this. Let's move on and continue learning. Now that we have understood what MCP is, how much important it is, and how different developers are adopting MCPs, how different companies are adopting MCPs, and how you can use it to interact with the real world. Now we'll move towards the today's agenda, and we'll dive deep into what this MCP is technically. Okay, let's get started. Right. So in today's agenda, we'll understand what LLMs are fundamentally, and what are the limitations. Why did this MCP come into the picture? Okay, we'll understand how LLMs and function calling. There's something called function calling, which we'll understand going forward, and what is the drawbacks of all these things, and why did this MCP come into the picture. And we'll understand what are the different components in MCP, how does a workflow in MCP look like, and also we'll kind of look into different real world applications, and then we'll also do a lot of hands-on projects, right? So let's get started. So now to understand what MCP is, firstly we need to understand what LLMs are, right? Whenever we speak about ChatGPT or Claude or all these AI applications, all of these are fundamentally powered using LLMs, right? LLMs stand for large language model, right? So what by when we mean this large language model is, there is a lot of vast information that is available on internet, right? So there's a lot of information on books, internet, or journals, or research papers, or in terms of images, videos, and everything, right? So all this information is taken, and then this is trained using an AI model, and then these LLMs are created, right? So here we can see that OpenAI has certain AI models like GPT-4, GPT 3.5, GPT 4.1, GPT o3. So all of these are different AI models, right? These AI models are called LLMs. Okay. So in the similar way, you have DeepSeek, you have Gemini, you have Llama. All of these are different AI models, and ChatGPT is an application on top of this AI model. Okay. So ChatGPT will be using this AI model. So whenever you're asking questions in ChatGPT, when you open the ChatGPT interface, whenever you ask some question, it's an it's going to kind of use an LLM behind the scenes and generate the response back for you. Okay, right. So just to understand how it works, pictorially, whenever the user gives an input into the ChatGPT or Claude. Claude is also an AI tool. Again, it's powered by an LLM, which is developed by a company called Anthropic, right? So in a similar way, Gemini, you might be using Gemini in all your Android phones or in your laptops and all, right? So even Gemini is powered by multiple different AI models, which are LLMs behind the scenes. Each AI model is developed by a different company, right? OpenAI is developing certain AI models. Google is developing certain AI models. Anthropic developing certain AI models. In this way, multiple AI models are developed, and these applications are built on top of these AI models. Okay, so how it works is whenever you're giving an input, whenever a user is giving an input, it will retrieve all this information from the LLM, whatever it is trained upon, and give you the response back. For example, when I ask, who is the Prime Minister of India, so since all of this information is already available on internet, all this data is taken by these companies and they train this AI model. Okay, they kind of feed all this information into this AI model. So now when you ask this question, it will give you the response back. Okay, right. So you ask a question, the LLM reads it and answers using what it is trained upon. Okay, but now with this there is a limitation as well, right? So LLMs can't access real-time data. For example, when I ask it what is the weather in Hyderabad today, because this information is not trained into this AI model, LLM will not be able to answer, right? So it will tell that you can get the weather information on a particular website, or you can go into this particular website. You can guys can just pause and you can try it out. You can open ChatGPT and ask what is the weather of Hyderabad right now, and it will not be able to kind of give you the answer just using the LLM. It will use multiple different tools which we are going to kind of explore now. I'll probably show it to you guys as well. So this is the platform where the OpenAI, it's very similar to ChatGPT. So now here when I'm asking what is the weather in Hyderabad. So I'm using a model called GPT 4.1. Okay. So I'll just ask this question. So you can see here, right? I cannot provide real-time weather updates as my knowledge is only up to June 2024. So each LLM model is trained on a knowledge base up to a particular date. Okay. After that particular date, it will not have any information, right? So because it doesn't have any information, it will not be able to answer, right? So in this way, each AI model, each LLM has a knowledge cutoff. We call that as knowledge cutoff. At this particular date, this knowledge is cut off. It's cut off from there. So only up to whatever information is there up to that particular date, it will be able to give you the answers, right? So it is not able to give you the real-time answers, right? So that's the limitation with any LLM as such. Okay, right. So the same thing I have shown in the screenshot as well, right? So now let's say if I want this real-time information also to be accessible for the LLM, right? So then we have something called function calling. Okay, so LLM plus function calling. So that's how ChatGPT works as well. So when you're asking ChatGPT, it does a function. It uses this function calling to give you the response of how what is the weather in Hyderabad or anything. Okay, any real-time information you need, it uses this function calling and does the necessary actions. Okay, so we'll see that as well. So now what I'm doing is, you can see the tools section here, right? So here what I'm doing is, I'm adding a function. Okay. So in this function, I'm just mentioning that get weather. Okay. So this function I am, trying to add for the ChatGPT. Okay. For this particular LLM. Okay. So now, this particular interface, this particular tool now has an LLM as well as this particular function, right? So what happens now is, now when I ask So now we can see, right, the current weather in Hyderabad is 28 degrees centigrade, partly cloudy, humidity is 75%, and wind speed is 12 kilometers. Now it is able to, get this information. So what actually is happening is, I'll just show you. what actually is happening is LLM will use this function calling to get this weather information, which is a real-time information, and generate a response for you. So we'll see this step by step. Okay. So you are the user. Okay. So now you're asking some question to your chatbot. Okay. Right now we are using Next5 AI chatbot. You can use ChatGPT or any other chatbot. Okay. So what happens is this chatbot now use an LLM behind the scenes. We discussed, right? ChatGPT is an application on top of these LLMs, right? So right now GPT 4.0 is the LLM that we are using. Okay. So now this next wave, this chatbot is going to interact with this particular LLM and is also going to send the list of tools. Okay. So now at my chatbot level, I have in the previous screen share, I have added a function called get weather, right? So that particular function is also sent. Okay. Now what happens is uh, LLM will understand that okay, since I don't have this information, what are the functions that I can call? Okay, functions are tools which I can use to understand. Okay, to get this real time information. Then now in the available list of tools, it will understand that this get weather is the tool which I can use to get the latest weather, right? So now using this particular tool, it will get the latest weather. So what happens is LLM will select this particular tool. Okay, LLM will select this get weather tool. Okay, and tells the Nextwave AI chatbot to call this particular function. Okay, so now the Nextwave AI chatbot will call this particular function. Okay, and in this particular function you might be using any of the real-time weather APIs to get the weather data. Okay, so you'll get this weather data and then you send this back. Okay, now in the step 5, if you see, you're sending this weather data, you're sending the weather data back to the LLM. Okay, so now your LLM has all the data that is trained upon, and also has the information about the current weather, right? So using both this information, now your LLM will kind of generate the response. Okay, you can see here. So whenever you're calling this particular function, you're sending some data back to the LLM, right? So in that data, you're going to send probably some JSON, right? Like in a dictionary format, you'll put some keys and values and tell that this is the weather and all, right? So now using that particular information, this LLM is going to convert that in a human readable format, right, into a sentence, right? So today's weather in Hyderabad is so and so, and whatever we have seen previously, right? So all that information it is generating, and then that is being sent back to the user, right? So I believe you guys have understood what function calling is. Okay, so you can see this here. So far what we have discussed is we have discussed that LLMs have knowledge cutoff. They don't have real-time information. So which is the limitation with the LLMs. So now if I want some real-time information, what do I need to do? Right? So we have also, in the screen which I have shared, initially when we asked the chatbot that what is the weather, it is saying that I don't have any real-time information. You can visit so and so website, right? So, but after that, what we have done is we have introduced a concept called function calling, which is you're defining multiple different functions which you are giving to LLM. Okay, LLM is the brain here. Okay, what you're doing is, so here if you see in the step 2, you're forwarding whatever the user is asking to the LLM, and also along with that you're adding a set of tools. Okay, you're giving the LLM, these are the tools that are available with me. So whatever knowledge that you have, and using these tools, you get me back the answer. Okay, right? So now I might be having like 10 to 15 different tools, right? All of these tools I'm giving it to LLM, right? So now what LLM does is, among these 10 to 15 different tools, based on the question that user asks, it will select a particular tool. Okay, here it is selecting get weather. Okay, get weather is the function, because right now we are asking about weather, right? So here it is using the get weather tool, and it is telling your Nextwave AI bot to call this particular function. So here LLM is not calling your function. Your function call is happening in your chatbot. Okay, right? So this function is implemented in your code, right? So then in your code you might have integrated with some weather real-time weather API. Okay, so now your function is getting executed. So whenever a function is getting executed from that particular API, you'll get a JSON response, right? So this particular JSON response is now again sent back to the LLM. Okay, so now your LLM has all the knowledge that it is trained upon, and also the JSON data in terms of what the current weather is, right? So using this information, now your LLM is going to generate a response, right? So if you see in the step 6, it is kind of generating a response and it is giving back to your chatbot. Okay. Now your chatbot is giving the response back. So the current weather in Hyderabad is temperature 28 degrees centigrade, right? So that is displayed to your user. So that is how function calling is going to work, right? Great. So we'll see one more scenario, one more example where we'll use LLM plus Google Drive. Okay, I'll explain to you the use case. So for example, now you want a chatbot to read the contents of a specific file in your Google Drive. Okay, so you have a Google Drive, okay, where you have uploaded some particular file, right, which is in your own Google Drive. Okay, so now you want you are asking a chatbot to give whatever information is present in this particular file. You're asking some question about it, right? So now will LLM will directly be able to answer this particular question? No, right? Because it is not trained upon your Google Drive data, right? So LLM is nothing but what there is some knowledge cutoff. It is trained only upon that particular data, and when you're asking questions about that particular data, it is going to give you the response. But since your Google Drive data is not fed into the LLM, it will not be able to give you the response, right? So here also we can again use function calling to get this response and make LLM understand what is present in your Google Drive and give you the response, right? So let's understand that. Okay, so now we discussed that there's a concept called function calling where we can define functions, right? So for that, here I am defining 3 different functions. Okay, so first function is once I have a Google Drive, listing all the folders in that particular drive. Okay, that is one function. Okay, then there is second function where once I select a particular folder, I am going to kind of list all the files in that particular folder. Okay, so that is the second function. And then okay, now once I located that particular file, I am going to read the content of that particular file. Okay, these are 3 different functions. Okay, right. So now again, if you look into the step-by-step flow here, you are in the step 1, you're going to ask that give me the contents of, let's say you have some college notes, okay, which your instructor has given you. You have uploaded into your Google Drive. Okay, so now we are asking a chatbot, give me tell me whatever is present in this particular file. Okay, now what your chatbot is going to do is it is along with whatever you have asked, it is going to forward the list of available tools, right? Now I have 3 tools available. One is kind of finding all the folders in my drive. Then once a folder is selected, finding all the different files in that particular folder. And once a file is selected, reading all the file content, right? So now I have these 3 different tools. Okay, so these 3 tools I'm sending to LLM. Now what LLM is going to do is, based on the question that I'm asking, it is kind of going to call these particular functions. Okay, so now in the step 4, when you see, it is going to select each particular function, and it will also determine what are the inputs for that particular function. Okay, those inputs are again given to your chatbot. Okay, now your chatbot is going to kind of call this particular, implement this particular function and call it and generate a response, right? So once the response is generated, in the step 5, that is sent back to the LLM, right? Now your LLM has all this data, right? It has the data that is trained upon. It has the prompt that you have asked, and also the data that is present in your file, right? So now using all this information, now it runs its brain. Okay, you can think of LLM as a brain. Okay, so now it decides which function to call, or once it generates a response, it will generate an readable human readable response and send it back to the user, right? So this is also again function calling with Google Drive, right? So far we have discussed about LLMs. In LLMs we have discussed that it doesn't have real-time information. There is a certain knowledge cutoff. To overcome this, we have some concept called function calling, right? So this function calling is nothing but you are going to define a certain set of functions. You have multiple different tools. All these functions are defined by you. You implement all these functions, and you tell LLM that I have these set of functions available with me. So whenever you need any information about this particular function, tell me. I'll implement that particular function and give you the response. Now your LLM will tell you which function to call and what are the input parameters, and then you call that particular function, you generate a response, and once that response is generated, that response is sent back to the LLM, right? So now your LLM has that real time information and also the prompt that you have asked. So based on this information, it is going to generate a response and give it back to you, right? I hope this is clear. Cool. Right. So now we have implemented this particular functionality where we have connected Google Drive and we have defined these three different functions. First is kind of finding all the list of folders and then files in a particular folder and reading a particular file. Right. So these three functions I have implemented in my code and I have connected it with the LLM. Right. So now later, let's say if the user have asked that in the chatbot itself, it has the user told that I understood the content in this particular file. Now what you have to do is add few more lines to this particular file and save it, right? So you're going to perform an action, right, without leaving a chatbot, right? So you're telling the AI to do an action on behalf of you, right? So you're telling that with the latest information, you include this particular 3-4 lines into this particular file and save in that particular file, which is present in your Google Drive. You don't want to open your Google Drive. You just want tell your chatbot, and chatbot has to do it, right? So for that particular thing, what you have to do is you have to again implement one more function, right, which is edit the content of the file. So now if you see, I am adding one more function, edit file content, to which I am giving the file ID and new content, whatever is the updated content I am giving, and I am I'm adding this particular function and making it part of the tools that are available with me. Okay, now LLM, since it has fourth tool, which is the edit function, it is going to kind of again call this particular function and implement this particular action funnel, right? So in this way, every time I want to add a different action or perform a different action, I have to implement this particular function, right? So once I implement this function, LLM using this function calling protocol, it will call this particular function, implement and complete the action funnel, right? Great. So again, if you see in the flow, on the right side, in the list of available definitions, edit file content definition is also added. So based on that, the LLM will decide which particular function to call and it will perform the action, right? Great. So one thing that we have to observe is, let's say, initially I wanted to implement the read functionality. So I have implemented 3 functions. And then I wanted to edit functionality. So I have added one more function in my code and I have implemented this particular function. Now the LLM will call this particular function and it will kind of generate the response. My code will generate the response and I'm giving it back to the LLM, right? So now I have one more use case where I want to delete a particular file, right? So whenever I want to delete a particular file, again I have to kind of call this particular function call. I have to implement this particular function, right? Delete file function I have to implement, right? Cool. So if you see here, every time I want to perform a different task, I have to implement these particular functions, right? So this is the overhead, right? So now as the tasks grow, so as more and more, now I want my chatbot to perform multiple different tasks. Every time I need to implement these set of functions, and I need to make my LLM accessible with these functions, and kind of update all my code and do everything, right? So that is also going to become a problem, right? So now let's say you have a very big organization. Okay. So in an organization, in a real use case, there will be, each organization would be interacting with, hundreds of different tools, right? So every time it could be, support tools, or, it could be development tools, or it could be, payment gateway tools, or so in this way, each organization will be interacting with hundreds of different tools, right? So if all these tools, I have to, implement these particular functions and make my LLM accessible to it, right? So that is going to become a problem, right? So every new tool I want to integrate, I want to implement all. I should right now I should implement all these functions and make these tools available to the LLM, and then only the LLM will be able to work, right? So that has become a huge problem for a lot of different organizations, right? So again, if we go back to the previous use cases where we discussed about Zerodha or railways or leak code kind of a thing. So for all these particular integrations, I have to look into what are the APIs that are provided by Zerodha. I have to kind of pick these particular APIs. For each API, I have to implement a function, and this function I have to make it accessible to my LLM, right? So that is becoming a bottleneck. So how do we overcome it? Right? So again, that is what I was mentioning. In this approach, in the approach of using LLM plus function calling, there are certain drawbacks, right? So let's look into what are these drawbacks. So first thing is code is going to become messy. I mean, I need to add lots and lots and lots of functions, right? So for every single action I have to do in my code, I have to add all these functions, right? So that is going to become a bottleneck, right? And every time I want to add a new tool, even then I have to kind of add implement these particular functions and do it, right? Which is an overhead for me, right? And also, for example, let's say you're using Google Drive's APIs. Let's say somewhere in the future Google Drive has updated its APIs, okay? So they changed something in their APIs. Then in your function calling also you have to make all these changes, right? In your function implementations as well, you have to make all these changes, and only when you make these changes you'll be able to understand. I mean, LLM will be able to work effectively, right? Because if the API is changed and if you don't make changes in your function code, then it will get errors, right? So every time some tool is getting updated, you have to kind of make these changes in your code, right? So these are all the multiple different drawbacks that we are seeing, right? Great. So just to recap what we have discussed so far, first thing, we have discussed what is LLM and what are the multiple different limitations with LLMs, right? So we discussed that it doesn't have real-time knowledge, so it cannot perform actions on behalf of you. So these are certain limitations, right? So to overcome these limitations, we discussed that LLM plus function calling is how we can do, right? So with function calling, you'll have some access to real-time data, and also it can perform actions on behalf of you. So using this function calling, you can interact with the real world. But even with function calling, we have discussed that there are certain limitations, right? So it cannot, every time you need to add a new use case, you need to add a new function, right? So that also you have to overcome, right? So for that, we have discussed that when you take an example of a real-time organization where they work with hundreds of different different tools or products, each of it will have multiple different functions. So that will become a scalability issue, right? So you have to write hundreds and thousands of code to implement all these functions, and whenever there are some changes also you'll have some problems, right? So we have discussed all these things so far. Great. So now let's see how we'll overcome this. Okay. The second question, in an MCP based setup, what is an MCP server? Option A database that stores prompts. Option B, a service that exposes tools and APIs to AI clients in a standardized way. Option C, a front-end interface for users. Option D, a cloud GPU for model training. 5 seconds on the clock. Go. The correct answer is option B, a service that exposes tools and APIs to AI clients in a standardized way. Let's move on and continue learning. MCP comes into the picture, which is MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, right? So we'll understand what MCP is, and we'll understand how this is going to work, right? So now when you take MCP, it's nothing but it's a protocol, right? So MCP is an open protocol that standardizes how applications provide context to LLMs, right? So far we have discussed that LLMs doesn't have this real world access. So how these applications are going to provide this context to LLMs? For that, there are certain rules and guidelines which is laid out by MCP. So once these rules and guidelines are followed, a lot of things are going to get simplified. So we are going to see what it is. So a protocol is a set of rules that every service or tool provider must follow when creating their MCP servers, right? So each company will, there are certain rules which are to be followed. So every company will follow these rules, okay, and create MCP servers for them. So now when we take Zerodha, they created an MCP server following this MCP protocol. Similarly, Railways also has an MCP server which is following this protocol, right? By protocol, what we mean is there are certain rules and guidelines, okay, right? So in this way, every organization will follow these particular rules and guidelines and create these MCP servers. Okay, we'll go into detail on what these MCP servers are, what are the different components in MCP. But before going there, this is the rough idea. Okay. So you can think, like MCP is a protocol, right? So protocol is nothing but a set of rules and guidelines which each company has to follow. So now that every company is, kind of following this particular protocol, we can, that simplifies a lot of different things. So let's see. So just to draw an analogy, you can think of MCP as an USB-C, right? earlier, before USB-C, each company, for example, if you take the simple use case of cell phone chargers, right? So Nokia used to have a different pin, and then iPhone used to have a different pin. Android devices, Google, and all these devices used to have a different pin. And even your laptop chargers earlier, there used to be multiple different, pins to charge your laptops and all, right? So that because of that, you're not able to kind of use a single charger for all the use cases, right? In the same way, here if you see in the screen, uh, you have an laptop which you would want to you want to connect, let's say, your phone, you want to connect some printer, okay, and then probably you want to also connect some SD card or anything, right? So all of these things would need different ports for your laptop, right? So because of this, laptop costs were also very huge, because then they had to support all these particular different ports. But later what happened is, there's a protocol which was introduced, which is USB-C. Using this protocol, all companies, all different devices were, kind of aligning with this particular protocol. Right now, printers, or your mobile devices, or any other SD cards, and all of these things are now going to use this USB-C converter. Okay, using this particular converter, you can connect all these things, and you can just simply plug it to your laptop, right? So now each laptop manufacturer doesn't have to kind of add support for all these particular ports, right? So you can, this is a very similar analogy to how MCP is going to work, right? So you can think of MCP as your USB-C converter, which is a single protocol, okay, which is a set of guidelines or rules which each manufacturer has to follow, or each service provider has to follow. And once they follow these rules, they can directly connect to your LLMs, right? So we are going to see about this. As mentioned here, think of MCP like a USB-C port for your AI applications. So just as USB-C provides a standardized way to connect your devices to various peripherals, accessories, MCP provides a standardized way to connect AI models with different tools, right? So uh, you can, let's take multiple different AI models like GPT or Claude, or Gemini. All of these are multiple different AI models, right? So each AI model will now follow this standardization, will follow this standard protocol, which is MCP, to connect with the real world application. So now you don't have to kind of, initially when we were discussing about Google Drive, you had to write a lot of functions, right, where you were integrating with the Google Drive's APIs. Now if Google Drive itself follows the MCP protocol and releases the MCP server, all you have to do is plug this MCP server to your LLM, and now all these tools are directly available, right? So we're going to see this, how this is going to work. But to roughly understand what MCP is, it's just a protocol which is a standard way. Okay, every LLM has to follow this particular standard way to interact with the AI tools. Okay, all your AI applications, if it has to interact with real world applications, they just have to follow this MCP protocol, and that will become very easy, right? Cool. So here, now let's see this use case. Okay, this is the MCP architecture. Okay, so in MCP architecture, you typically have four components. Okay, one is MCP host, MCP client, MCP servers, and third-party tools. Okay, we'll look into each of it, how it is going to work. Okay, so in the previous example, where we were talking about LLM plus function calling, if you want to work with weather, we had a weather API, right? Similarly, if you want to work with Google Drive, there is a Google Drive APIs. Okay, so on the right side, if you see, Google Drive, Gmail, LinkedIn, all are multiple different services or APIs that these companies are providing, right? Then you have these MCP servers, which is you have Google Drive MCP server, you have Slack, or Gmail MCP server, or LinkedIn MCP server, right? So all these MCP servers follow this MCP protocol to directly connect with your LLM. Okay, so let's see here. So now let's understand what are these. What do we mean by MCP server, MCP client, or MCP host, or what are these tools? Okay. So first thing is the MCP host. Okay. MCP host is a platform or environment that acts as a bridge between the user, the LLM, and the MCP server. So now let's say we discuss about ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT, Claude, or all these are multiple different applications which would work with the LLM behind the scenes, uh, for example, if you take ChatGPT, you have GPT-4, GPT 3.5, or GPT-o3. These are multiple different LLMs, and your ChatGPT is the application which is kind of interacting with this particular APIs, right? So particular LLMs. In the same way, MCP host is the application, right? So here, if you see, for examples, Claude is an application, right? Similarly, Windsurf and Cursor, these are also multiple different AI IDEs, which are the hosts. Okay, using this particular application, you're going to interact with this AI, right? So we'll see into this again hands-on as well. So MCP client. So first thing is we understood that MCP host is an application that is installed on your laptop, okay, which will interact with the AI. Okay, either it be any LLM, it is going to interact with the LLM using this particular application, right? Okay. Then we have MCP client. MCP client is also a software that is again present in your laptop only, which will maintain connection with this MCP client, MCP server. Okay, MCP client is a one-on-one software that makes one-on-one connections with the MCP servers, right? So in the previous example, if you see, in your laptop you have an MCP host, which is either it could be Cursor or Claude or anything, okay, which is a tool. Okay, using this particular application, what you're going to do is you are within that particular application you'll also have MCP client, because you have multiple different servers, right? Let's say you have your application should support Google Drive, it should support Gmail, it should have support LinkedIn, right? So all these particular MCP servers will connect to this MCP clients. Okay, they will maintain a one-on-one connection with this MCP client, and your MCP host is going to interact with this MCP client. Okay, we'll see how this is going to work. Okay, MCP servers. Now, MCP servers are lightweight programs that provide specific services or tools. Now, in the previous example, if you see, these are the MCP servers, right? So now let's say if you take a Google Drive has Google Drive's APIs, right? So now this MCP server, Google Drive's MCP server sits in front of Google Drive's APIs and converts this everything into this MCP standard protocol. Okay. So now if you see, each particular service like Google Drive or Gmail or LinkedIn, all of these particular services have their respective MCP servers. Okay, these MCP servers will now connect with your host machines or your MCP clients and provide you the response. So now we'll also look into how this is going to work. So we'll see how the communication flow works. Okay, right. So now if you see here, let's understand, similar to how we have seen the working flow in LLM plus function calling. Here also we'll see how the working flow would look like. Okay, so you have an MCP host, okay, which is an application that is part of your your laptop, right? So let's say you have Claude or ChatGPT or Cursor or any particular tool, okay, which is your application, right? So in your MCP host, which there will be a small software which is running behind the scenes, which we call as MCP client. Okay, so now what happens is this, similar to how in function calling, we are going to define certain set of tools, right? So these tools we are going to give it to LLM, right? So here what happens is MCP client and MCP server will have the tools. Okay, so what happens is your MCP client will ask for what are the different tools that are available in the MCP server. Okay, then your MCP server will return back with a list of tools that are available. Okay, right. So now once you have the list of tools, okay, now when whatever the user is asking in the step 4, okay, so you're sending the user prompt along with the list of tools. Okay, these tools, now you're not going to define any of these tools. For example, in the previous example where we took the Google Drive example, we were defining 4-5 different functions, right? So it could be list of files or list of folders, or reading a particular file, editing a particular file, deleting a particular file. All these particular functions you were defining in your code, right? Now you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is you connect this MCP client and MCP server. You'll connect the Google Drive MCP server. So once you connect it, what happens is your MCP client in itself will ask for the list of available tools. Okay, so from there you'll get all the tools list directly. Okay, so now that once you have all the tools list, now your LLM will use the user prompt and the available tools. From there, observe closely. So we are done with up to step 4, right? So in step 5, from the list of available tools, your LLM is going to select a particular tool. Okay. So now once a tool is selected, it will again inform back to the MCP client. Okay. This is the tool I have selected. Now call this particular tool. Okay. So in the step 5, your LLM, which is the brain, which decides among the list of available tools, it decides that this is the tool I'm going to use right now. Okay. So based on the user prompt, whatever the user is asking, for example, if I'm asking about weather, it will select the weather tool. If I'm asking about reading a particular file, it will select the reading a file tool. Okay. Or if I'm asking about, if I tell that in my user prompt, if I tell that, delete this particular file, then the LLM will select this particular tool. Okay. So now in the step 5, it has selected the tool and informed the MCP client that use this particular tool. Okay. Now what happens is in step 6, the client is going to tell the MCP server to run this particular tool. Okay. So now your MCP server will execute this particular tool, and in step 7, it is going to return the response. Right. Earlier, whatever function execution, function calling, and everything were done by your own code, right? You used to write all this code, right? So instead of you writing all this code, now MCP client and MCP server are going to deal with all this particular thing. Okay. So now at step 7, whenever at step 6, you're telling your server to run a particular tool, so it will run the particular tool, and in step 7, it is going to return the response. Okay. So I hope everything is clear up to here. Right now, the response is returned to the MCP client. Right now, what happens is this MCP client is going to send that particular response to the LLM. Okay, that is step 8. Right, it is very similar to function calling. Now your LLM will have the function response and the user prompt and all the knowledge it is trained upon. Right, so based on all this available information, now in the step 9, it is going to generate an output. Right, I hope this is clear. So up to step 9, your LLM will finally generate an output, and that is written back to the user. Right. So this is how the communication flow in LLM in using MCPs work. Right. Great. So I'll give you a brief of how this MCP is going to work. So first thing is the user will ask for user will input a prompt. Right. By prompt I mean user will input some question, right, into the chatbot that we are using. Right. Which we are calling as MCP host. Right. So your whatever prompt that you're entering, whatever question that you're asking, that is inputted into the MCP host. Okay. Now MCP host will look into what are the tools that are installed. Okay, right. We see how you can connect all these MCP servers. So it will the host will ask the MCP server for what are the available tools. Okay. So now you are going to get back the list of available tools. Okay. So now from the available tools, all these tools are sent to the LLM. Right. So the MCP host sends the user prompt plus tools list to the LLM. Right. After that, now LLM decides which tool to use. Right. So LLM is the brain here. Right. So using the brain, based on the user input, whatever the user is asked for, it will select a particular tool. Right. Now the tool is selected and it is returned back to the MCP host. Now what happens is MCP host will tell the MCP server to run the particular tool. MCP host makes a call to the corresponding MCP server, and the server will run that particular tool and return the response back. Right? Okay. So now the tool is run. So now whatever response is generated, it is again sent back. The MCP host will send this tool's output back to the LLM. Now LLM, based on this entire information, it will generate an output and give it back to the user. Right? Cool. I think this is very clear enough. So it is almost very similar to function calling only. But the main thing is you don't have to, implement all these tools in your code. Okay. In your code, you don't have to define all these functions. All you have to do is connect this particular MCP server, and then the MCP server will automatically have the list of available tools, and based on that, the LLM will decide which tool to use, and even the function implementation will also be happening at the MCP server itself. Right? Great. So far we have understood the communication flow, or what are the different components that are part of the MCP. Right? So now, based on this understanding, we'll also see what are the advantages of MCP. Right? So now, instead of first advantage is, any new tool that you have to add, or any new use case that you have to add, you don't have to implement all these functions. It's a simplified, unified interface. It's the same protocol every company is going to use and release their MCP servers, which you are going to directly use, right? All MCP servers, regardless of underlying system, speak the same protocol, right? Earlier, when we take the weather application, or weather function calling, or Google Drive function calling, each server, for example, if you take the Google Drive APIs, they have a different style. uh, for example, when you take the weather real-time API, like the AccuWeather API or something, they have a different style, right? So each company used to have a different style, but with MCP, all MCP servers, regardless of the underlying system, speak the same protocol. So once this same protocol is there, it is very easy for the LLM to adopt, right? So that is one advantage. The second thing is, there is a you can easily scale now. We have discussed that initially that each organization would have hundreds of different tools that they use, right? So now, since every tool is using the same protocol, it will be very easy for the company to directly use these tools. And for example, let's say we have spoken about Google Drive, right? Now let's say I want to add an Gmail MCP. Okay, so now I don't have, let's say I want to read some data from the Google Drive and send some email to some particular person, right? Now, with the earlier approach where LLM plus function calling, I have to kind of implement the send email functionality also in my code, right? But now, all I have to do is connect this MCP server of Gmail, and my job is done, right? So we see that thing in hands on as well. Okay, so we have discussed so far. We have discussed that MCPs are a it's an open standard, or protocol which each company will follow, and in that we have discussed about what are the components within MCP and how the communication flow is going to happen, right? Great. So now let's see some real world use cases where we can use these MCPs, right? Let's say we have a customer support chatbot, right? In your learning platform as well, you have a chatbot, right? So where you can ask multiple different questions, right? So let's take such a kind of a chatbot use case. So now in the chatbot, the customer might ask some information about themselves, or they'll say that I have purchased this particular product, but I can't see what is the status of it, right? Then I need to get that particular data from the order management system. Similarly, let's say some payment has failed. Okay, then I have to get that information from the payment gateway, right? In a similar way, there could be some list of FAQs as well. So in this way, each chatbot application will now interact with these 4 different systems, right? Customer database is one system, order management is one system, uh, payment gateway is one system, FAQs is one system. So these are multiple different systems, right? Now, if all these systems follow the MCP protocol, now it will become very easy for the chatbot to kind of integrate with all of these, right? So that is one use case. Similarly, let's take an example of an personal assistant, virtual personal assistant. Okay, you have some assistant, AI assistant on your phone, or it could be in your smart speaker or anything. You have an AI assistant, right? Or for example, if you take Amazon's Echo or something, if you just smart speaker where it has an AI layer inside it, right? So now here, let's say I am asking it to kind of let's say I have an Amazon Echo kind of a device where I ask for what are the available, what are the different events on my calendar for today. Okay, then it has to interact with the with my Gmail calendar, right? Similarly, if I ask it to send an email on behalf of me, or if I ask it about the current weather today. So all of this information for this Amazon Echo platform has to kind of come from multiple different real-time sources, right? So now, just using MCP, I'll connect all of these MCP servers for this Amazon Echo's chatbot, and my job is done, right? I don't have to kind of implement all this particular function code, right? So we'll see that as a hands-on as well. So before we move into hands-on, I'll just kind of give you a recap of what we have discussed so far. Initially, we discussed about LLMs, what are the limitations of LLMs, and then we have discussed that if you want real-time data, we need to use function calling. But then we also discussed what are the limitations of function calling and how the MCP came into picture. And then within the MCP section, we discussed about what MCP is. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, which is a standard protocol, and this protocol was released by a company called Anthropic, right? So Anthropic released this particular protocol, and using this particular protocol, all the companies, like all multiple different organizations, are adopting this particular protocol and kind of releasing their MCP service, right? So now all I have to do is connect these MCP servers. So in this, we also discussed about MCP architecture. In the MCP architecture, we discussed there are 4 components. One is the MCP host, which is the application, chatbot application that you're using, and then there is an MCP client, which is also part of the host system itself. And then there's an MCP server, which is sitting on a remote server, which is again kind of a server for each of the services that you're going to use, right? And then the fourth component is the third party service that you're going to use, right? Then we also discussed about MCP communication flow, how the communication flow is going to work. I'll just give you a picture here. Right, this is the MCP communication flow. So in the step 1, the user enters the prompt into the MCP host application, and then MCP host application will fetch what are the available tools from the MCP servers. Okay, that is step 2. Step 3 is the tools that are what are available, that is returned back to the MCP host. Now at step 4, MCP host will send it to the LLM based on what are the user prompt that the user entered, and list of all available tools. It is not going to filter any tools. It will select all available tools and send it to the LLM, right? Now LLM in step 4, in step 5 will decide that this is the tool I'm going to use. Okay, now in step 6, that tool is sent back to the MCP server with the input, and the tool is that particular function is getting executed in the MCP server, right? So and then that the response is generated, and in step 7, that response is returned back to the MCP client, right? So now in step 8, your MCP host will take this particular response and send it back to the LLM. Now LLM will have information about whatever the user has asked, the knowledge it is trained upon, and also the real-time information that is fetched from this particular MCP server, right? And based on all of this information, it will generate a response, and in step 9, that response is returned back to the user, right? This is the overall communication flow. So we discussed about the communication flow, and then we also discussed how the MCP is going to solve the earlier issues that we discussed with the LLM based function calling, right? So since it's a standard protocol, all companies will follow this particular protocol, and the LLMs will automatically support this MCP protocol. And just with the installation of the MCP server in itself, all the available tools are directly available. And one more advantage is, let's say now some your Google Drive APIs is getting updated, right? So then automatically Google Drive, they will automatically update the Google Drive MCP server as well, right? So you don't have to make any changes in your code. MCP server will get updated, and it will send the list of all the latest available tools, right? So in this way, any new tools that are getting added, any completely new applications that you would want to add, so all of these things will simply be added to the MCP servers, right? And then at the end, we also discussed about some real-time use cases like chatbot or AI personal assistants, where we can use the MCP, right? The third question: which of the following is an example of an MCP-enabled action? Option A: generating random text without context. Option B: calling an external service like Gmail or GitHub through AI. Option C: editing images locally. Option D: compiling source code. 5 seconds for you. Let's go. The correct answer is option B: calling an external service like Gmail or GitHub through AI. Let's move on and continue learning. Great. So far we have understood the conceptual understanding, like how these MCPs are working and all. So now we'll jump into the hands-on projects. So this is going to get very interesting right now. So let's get into the hands-on projects. We've been now building 3 to 4 different projects overall. So let's see into this projects now. So before starting to build the projects, let's look into what are the tools that we're going to use, right? So first thing is the Pipedream. Pipedream is the MCP server. So in the MCP components, we discussed about MCP server, MCP client, and MCP host, right? So and also the third-party tools. So here, if you see, Pipedream is the MCP server that we're going to use. So I'll just show you how the Pipedream is going to be. And similarly, Cursor IDE. Cursor IDE is the AI IDE. So using this IDE, we'll be using it as an MCP host. Okay. So you can we'll also look into how to install Cursor and start using it. Right. So within the Cursor IDE itself, we'll also have the MCP client as well. Right. So Cursor IDE will act as the MCP client and MCP host, and the Pipedream will be the MCP server. And then LinkedIn, Gmail, 11 Labs, these are all the multiple different services or different tools that we are going to kind of integrate with the MCP and kind of do multiple different projects, right? Great. So to understand what Pipedream is, so Pipedream is basically an MCP server that is integrating with multiple different third-party tools. So if you see here, we have around 2,500 multiple different apps and APIs from Slack, GitHub, Notion, LinkedIn, Google Drive, Gmail, YouTube. So in this way, there will be multiple different third-party tools that Pipedream acts as a single server, and it will act as an kind of a server for each of these particular tools. Okay, so you can access all of it using the Pipedream platform. I'll also show you how the Pipedream platform looks like. But it has almost close to 2,500 different apps, and each app will also have, for example, if you take the Google Drive, so you'll also need authentication and all the support as well, right? All of this thing is being taken care by the Pipedream server. Okay, so let's once go to the Pipedream website and we'll see how it works. So yeah, if you see, if you just have to go to the browser and type mcp.pipedream.com. This link is also provided for you in the cheat sheet. So in all the anything related to hands-on, everything is provided for you in the cheat sheet. So you can refer to the cheat sheet and look into each project step by step. Okay, so every step is very clearly detailed out in the cheat sheet. All the links, all the prompts, and everything is present in the cheat sheet. Okay, you can refer to the cheat sheet for more understanding. Right. So now we'll open mcp.pipedream.com. So if you see here, you can see, right, there are multiple different MCP servers that Pipedream is providing. So if you can see here, Notion, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google Sheets, Google Drives. So let's, for example, take Google Sheets, right? So if you take the Google Sheets, there are roughly around 43 different tools, right? 43 different actions. For example, creating a column, adding multiple rows, add a single row, clear a particular cell, clear rows. So all of these are multiple different functions, right? In the Google Drive example that we have seen, we have discussed about 3-4 different functions, right? So like listing all the folders and then listing files in a particular folder, and then reading a particular file, editing a particular file, deleting a particular file. All of these are different multiple functions, right? So here they're calling them as actions. So each overall Pipedream is a platform. In Pipedream, there are multiple Pipedream servers. So each particular tool, for example, Google Sheets has Google Sheets Pipedream server. So similarly, if you take Google Drive, it has Google Drive's Pipedream server. In this way, you have multiple different servers. Within each server, again, there are multiple different tools, right? So whenever your LLM wants a particular tool, we discussed that the LLM host, I mean MCP host, will get all the list of tools, right? So we'll look into that, right? So, but first, let's understand what is the MCP server, right? So Pipedream is the MCP server. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of create an account here. So just you can connect your Google account. Right. So you can see my account connected here. Okay. So this is all you have to do. Okay. So from Pipedream point of view, you just have to open the Pipedream website. You can just simply explore what are the different tools that are available. So you can see Slack, Zoho, GitHub, and this is there are multiple. There are almost close to 2,500 different tools. Okay. Right. So after that, create an account. Okay. Once you create an account, we'll proceed with the next steps. Okay. Right. So now that we have created an account with the Pipedream MCP server, let's look into the Pipedream Cursor MCP host. So Cursor is an AI IDE. So you might have used VS Code or PyCharm or in this multiple different IDEs, right? Similarly, Cursor is also one IDE. So here we're using Cursor as the MCP host. Okay. So Cursor is an IDE, a code editor that lets you write and run code. So it's very similar to VS Code or PyCharm as such. And one key advantage is Cursor is built-in AI features, right? So we'll look into what how these AI features are going to work, how it is working with LLMs and all those things as well. So AI integration uses powerful AI LLMs like GPT-4, Claude, or multiple different models as well. Okay, right. And natural language coding. So you can also prompt multiple different things. I'll just show you all of that. So to install Cursor, again the link is provided in the cheat sheets. Okay, you can just open the particular link and download the Cursor application. Okay, once you download the Cursor application, and your Windows installer will come up. So run all the required steps, and then it will show you a screen. I'll just show you. So this will come up. So here, don't click this skip and continue. You need to create an account. So click on sign up. Okay. So whenever you click on sign up, it will redirect you to the browser. Okay. So I'm just opening the browser for me. So you can see this here. So here I'm just again you can use your Google account. So I'm just connecting my Google account. So now it's logged in into my Cursor browser. Now it is saying login into Cursor desktop. So I'm just clicking on SN login. Right. So now once you go back to the Cursor browser, your login will be completed. So then now it is asking import from VS Code or skip and continue. I'll just click skip and continue. And then it's asking me the theme. I'll just select any theme that you would like to use. And this all of these you can just click continue. I'm just clicking the tick box and then click on continue. I don't need to change any of these things. I'm just clicking on continue. So now cursor setup is done, right? So you can see here, right? On the right side, you can see a chart box. So this is where you'll give all your prompts. Okay. I hope this is clear so far. So this is very similar to ChatGPT. In ChatGPT, similar to how you kind of open the website and kind of enter the prompt. Here also you can enter the prompts. Okay. So now if you see here, you can see a lot of multiple different AI models as well. I'll just turn off this. So you can see here, right? So Claude 4, Claude 3.5, O3, Gemini 2.5. So these are all the multiple different LLMs that you can use with the cursor, right? This is clear, right? So what right now what we are doing is first we have opened Pipedream, which is the MCP server, which we have logged in and created an account. Now we have installed MCP host, which is here Cursor. Cursor is the AI IDE, which is acting as an MCP host. Okay. Now this will interact with multiple different LLMs. Okay. So you can just again turn on this auto mode. Make sure this is set to auto. Don't get confused. This has to be in auto mode. Okay. I just turn it off to show you what are the different models. But when I'm setting in auto mode, it will automatically pick up the right model. Okay. Right. So my cursor setup is also done. I have created an Pipedream account and I have also created cursor account. Right. Cursor account and I have set up, installed it and I have set it up. Right. Now let's look into how typically the cursor works. So user prompt is there, right? So user will enter the user initiates the messages with a plain language. So whatever the user, you can just simply write in plain language. Okay. In the chart box I have shown, right? So once you enter the plain language, the AI selects the appropriate tool for the task. So now you need to connect this MCP service to your cursor. I'll show you how to do it. So once you connect your MCP service to this cursor will then behind the scenes there is an LLM, right? So we have seen multiple different LLMs that it is using cursor. So among that, it will pick one particular LLM, and the LLM will kind of look for available tools. Okay, it will select a particular tool and run, and it'll ask you for confirmation. The user approves. So whenever it's asking for confirmation, you just have to click yes, and then the particular tool will be executed in the server, and then the response is returned to the LLM back, and overall output is shown for you as the outcome. Right? We have discussed about the MCP communication flow. Right? It's the same communication flow that is going to happen here. Right? Cool. So let's start with the first project. Now that we have set up the tools, we have created a Pipedream account, and also we have kind of installed cursor and kind of logged in into cursor and set everything, right? So now let's start with the first project. So in this first project, I think you guys will be excited. So we are going to create a LinkedIn post. Okay. So a LinkedIn post directly from the cursor, right? So we discussed, right, the overall object of MCP is to do actions on behalf of you, right? So now we are not going to open any LinkedIn website. We are just going to open cursor, and within cursor we'll give some prompt, and based on this prompt your LinkedIn post will be created, right? Are you guys excited? Yes. So for this thing, what we have to do is we have created a Pipedream account, right? So in Pipedream account we have to link our LinkedIn account to Pipedream, right? So let's do that. Okay. So now I opened Pipedream, and here again the link is again mcp.pipedream.com. I'll just type LinkedIn. So I'll select the LinkedIn. Okay, now it is showing to connect your account. So what we are primarily doing is I have a LinkedIn account, right? Everyone will have their own LinkedIn accounts. So I am connecting my LinkedIn account to my Pipedream server. Okay, Pipedream MCP server, right? So I'm clicking on connect. So it's asking me to click on continue. So it's asking for my email and password. I'm just entering my password and click on sign in. So successfully my LinkedIn is now linked to Pipedream, right? So I'll just click on continue. So now you can see here, right? So account creation is successful, right? So now what I'm going to do is here in the client specific instructions, I'm selecting cursor, okay, right? So I'm just clicking on cursor, okay. I hope this is clear, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of copy this MCP server config, okay, right? So I'm just copying this. So what we are doing now is we have linked MCP LinkedIn to my Pipedream MCP, right? So now here I'm going to get MCP server, right? So now this LinkedIn MCP server, there is a configuration, right? So I'm just going to copy this configuration, and then now I'm going to go to my cursor, right? So here in cursor, when you click on this file, you'll get the settings option, right? Yeah, this settings on the top right, right? So you can see this settings, right? So you can click on this settings, and here you can go into tools and integrations, right? This is clear, right? So when you click on tools and integrations, and here you can mention add custom MCP. Okay, just click on this thing. Now in this particular JSON file, whatever you have copied, right? So I'm pasting it, right? So the format should be very clear. So you need to it should be a JSON file with MCP servers as first key, and inside that LinkedIn, right? So here you'll get a URL. Okay, this URL is again private. Do not share with anyone. It has all your authorized LinkedIn connection account. Okay, so you need to keep this URL very private, right? So here in the URL you can see it has an ID as well, so which is unique for each user. Okay, so now in this way I have connected. So now I'm going to save this file and close this JSON. So now you can see here, right? So in the MCP tools, you can see the LinkedIn, and it shows that 18 tools are available. So these are multiple different actions that are part of LinkedIn. Okay, we discussed, right? Each MCP server will have a certain set of tools, right? So all these tools are now fetched. Okay, this is clear, right? So now I have successfully connected my Pipedream MCP server to my cursor ID, which is the MCP host, right? So now this connection is done. So did I write any functions or anything over here? I didn't write any code so far, right? So all I did was connecting my MCP server with my MCP host. Okay. Now in the prompt, I'm going to go. Okay. So here now I'm giving a particular prompt. So let me get that prompt. Right. So here I'm going to paste this. Okay. Right. So here I copied that particular prompt. This prompt is provided for you in the cheat sheet. So what I'm saying is create an image post on LinkedIn with the following text. Okay. So here you can put your post content. So this post content is also shared with you in the cheat sheet. You can create your own post content, or you can copy from the cheat sheet. Okay. So I'm just going to copy from the cheat sheet. Right. So I'm just pasting it here. Okay. And also I'm providing an image link. So what I'm saying is create an image post. Okay, you can create a plain text post or an image post. Okay, here I'm creating an image post. So for that I need to create an image link as well, right? So you can make this image link anywhere, you can upload it anywhere, and give the image URL. Okay, so these image URLs are also given in the part of the cheat sheet, so you can use them directly. So I am kind of pasting this image link as well here. So that's it. So what I'm doing is I have opened the cursor IDE, and in the cursor IDE I have connected my LinkedIn MCP server. All I have to do is go to Pipedream, create an account, and in Pipedream link my LinkedIn account, and that will give me a LinkedIn MCP config, which I have pasted in the cursor, right? So now I have created the post and kind of gave what is the content that has to be used. Up to now I haven't opened LinkedIn anywhere, right? So all I'm doing is I'm asking AI to do all these actions for me, right? So that's where MCP comes into the picture, right? So I have provided the post content, and also I have given the image link, right? So this image link I am kind of giving it and then pressing enter, right? So now here you can see, right? So the LLM is, kind of selecting which tool to call, right? So it is calling LinkedIn create image post user. So that is one particular tool that is part of this MCP. So that particular tool it is calling, right? So now I have to click on run tool. So this you have to do explicitly. Okay. So I'm clicking on run tool. So we can see that, that creation is happening. So you can see the loading status. It is showing as generating. So we need to wait until that. So now after it is completed, it is showing your image post has been successfully created and published on LinkedIn with your provided text and image from the specified link. If you need any changes or anything, you can let me know. Right. So you can do multiple different actions. You can just explore what are the different actions. So I just showed you, right? You can go to the settings. In the settings, you can kind of go to tools and integrations. Okay. In tools and integrations, you can kind of look into what are the available tools. So it can search organizations, it can retrieve comments on comments, get LinkedIn profile picture or public fields, organization details, member profile. So all of this information is available. You can delete a post, you can create a text post, create an image post, okay, create a like. So there are multiple different actions that you can do. Okay, so all of these actions are available as part of the LinkedIn MCP. Okay, so I'm just closing this again. So let's go to LinkedIn. So now that we have created a post, right? So I guys realizing how easy it has become, right? So now let's go to LinkedIn and see the post created. I'm also curious on how the post got created. So I'm just opening LinkedIn. So this is my LinkedIn account. So I'll just go to my profile. Right. So here you can see, right, the post is successfully created. Right. So you can see the image also I have attached, and also it's just posted 1 minute back. Right. So all the text that I have entered and all is also perfectly fitted here. Right. So you guys have successfully enough, you can do the same thing on your own. You can change the content, you can change the images, you can do multiple different posts as well. And you can see the success, how you can use MCPs to kind of create LinkedIn posts, right? So I didn't even touch my LinkedIn account. All I did was I just opened cursor. Within cursor, I have kind of gave one prompt. So the prompt is also very simple: create an image post on LinkedIn with the following text. So I have entered the text, and kind of at the end I have also provided an image link, and it automatically call the LinkedIn MCP tool. Okay, using the tool, it has created the post. Okay, so that's as simple as using these MCPs, right? So now let's understand what is happening behind the scenes, right? So you guys remember the MCP communication flow, right? So let's go back to that particular slide. So now if we take this particular slide, so here what we are doing is here MCP host is the cursor ID that we are using, right? So user prompt. So in the prompt, I'm telling that create a LinkedIn post for me. Okay. In that LinkedIn post, I'm giving the content and the image, right? So this is the prompt. That is the step one, right? So let's go for the step by step. So this is the step one. In step two, now my MCP host is looking for different MCP servers. Now what I have done is I have connected my cursor account, right? I have in the cursor IDE, I have connected my LinkedIn MCP server, right? So it will go to the MCP server and select the list of tools. So now it will ask the server only what are the available tools. So there are around 18 tools that are available, right? So all these 18 tools are written back to the LLM, right? So now that is the third step, right? So now in the fourth step, this prompt, whatever prompt I'm giving input and the list of tools, all of them are sent to the LLM, right? So within the cursor, now we have seen that there are multiple different models, right? GPT-4, Gemini, O3 and all. So for that particular model, it will send this particular information, right? So that is the step 4. Now LLM will select a particular tool. So in the cursor you have seen, right? I'll just show you. So you have seen, right? The LLM has selected this particular tool, create image post user, right? So that particular tool is called. Well, that is the step 5, right? So in the step 5, the LLM will choose a particular tool. So now in the step 6, that particular tool is being run. So that now this particular tool is sent to the MCP server. Okay. So and the MCP server has sent the result. So here behind the scenes in the MCP server, the post is created, right? So that response is sent back to the user. So now once the response is sent back to the user, in the next step, now that is again sent to the LLM, and then LLM has finally created a response, right? So now let's see the response that it has created, right? So now here you can see, right? This is the response that is created. Your image post has been successfully created and published on the LinkedIn with the provided text and input. So this is what the LLM is generating as a response, and that is shown to the user, right? So this is the overall workflow of how LLMs and MCPs are working together using the cursor ID, right? Cool. So now we have successfully created a LinkedIn post. So this is your first project using LLMs. So I think you guys should be proud of yourselves. So you have learned about what MCPs are, and you have successfully also used the cursor IDE to link your MCP servers and create a LinkedIn post, right? So in this way, now you can do multiple different actions. So you can play around with the MCP LinkedIn cursor MCP. So I'll probably also ask. I'll just ask that get my profile from LinkedIn. Okay, this is the question I'm asking, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'll also ask some more prompts on LinkedIn. So what I have given an input as get my public LinkedIn profile. Okay, so this is the input I have given. So now it is showing waiting for approval. So what is it? What now again in the same MCP communication flow? Now MCP the LLM has selected this particular tool. Okay, LinkedIn get current member profile, right? So this is the tool that now LLM has selected. Earlier, it has selected a different tool like create image post. Now it is selecting get LinkedIn public profile. So this tool selection is happening at the LLM, right? So once LLM selects the tool, now the MCP host is asking you for permission to run. So I'm just clicking on run tool. So now whenever I click on run tool, this will be sent to the MCP server and the MCP server will execute, right? So the Pipedream already has my LinkedIn information, right? So now it will get all my LinkedIn information and return it back. So now you can see here, right? So if I click on expand, so a result is generated, right? So this is the response that is generated from the MCP server, right? So now this response is again sent back to the LLM to generate a response. So here you can see the response. Here is your public LinkedIn information, name Revant Konakanji, headline head of engineering, LinkedIn vanity name, some LinkedIn ID, and all of this information is available, right? So in this way, I can do multiple different actions. Right now, I haven't touched LinkedIn anywhere, right? So all I have done is within the cursor, I'm asking multiple different prompts about LinkedIn. Okay, this is clear, right? So that's your first project. So congratulations, everyone. You have successfully completed your first project. So now let's move to the next thing. So now let's talk about the second project. So in this project, again, we are going to do, two different things. So one is, we're going to use Gmail MCP as well as LinkedIn MCP. We'll use both of them together and, kind of create an email. So here, I'll give you an example. So my particular use case is, I want to, kind of apply for a particular company using some cover letter. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'll tell to the cursor IDE that get all my details from LinkedIn. Okay. And then create a cover letter for me for this particular so and so company and send it to a so and so email, right? So let's see how this is going to work. So for this thing we'll need two things. One is the LinkedIn MCP, which is already connected to our cursor, right? So the second thing is we need to connect the Gmail MCP, right? So for the Gmail MCP, let's go and kind of go to Pipedream and connect our Gmail account, and we'll get a Gmail MCP URL, right? So we'll have to go and add that in our cursor ID, right? So now let's go and do that, right? So now in Pipedream, I'm going to type Gmail. So I'll select Gmail. And here, again, I'm going to get an option of connect my account. So I'm just clicking on connect. So I'm clicking continue. So here I'm getting some Gmail options. I'm selecting Gmail. I click on continue. So it will ask me to grant permissions. I'm just clicking on grant. Right. It will also ask some more permissions. You can select all the permissions it is asking and click on continue. Right. So now it is showing successfully connected to Gmail. Right. Now click on continue. And in the same way, similar to how we have copied the MCP config, we have to go to cursor. So make sure you are using cursor because our MCP host is cursor, right? So there are multiple Claude, OpenAI and all, but since we are using cursor, we click the cursor option. And here you'll see the MCP server config. I'm going to copy the server config, and now I'm going to my cursor IDE and pasting this. Okay. So here in that settings section again, click on settings, and in the tools and integrations, you have to kind of add new MCP servers, right? So when you click on new MCP server, here you have to paste this. So one thing you need to be careful is whenever you're pasting, you don't have to again paste this MCP servers key, only the internal thing, right? So you can just paste this here. So you can just put comma and paste it here, right? So this is not required anymore, right? So your structure should be overall MCP servers inside that LinkedIn and Gmail, right? So make sure you are adhering to this structure, and also make sure your key is very careful, right? This is your authenticated URL. So once this using this URL, you can send any emails or read anything, and also you need to make sure this Pipedream URL is very secure. Okay, right. So now I'm just once you have updated it, you make sure you're saving this file. You need to click Control S. Okay, Control S will save this file. Here you can see this into icon, then click on into, and now here you can see the Gmail MCP as well, right? So if there are any errors in your MCP JSON file, you'll get some errors. Okay, so make sure your MCP JSON file is proper, and then here in the MCP tools, you can file in the list of available tools. Okay, I hope this is clear, right? So now we have created an linked our Gmail account to the Pipedream, and also connected the Pipedream MCP server to our MCP host, right? Your MCP host is the Cursor IDE. So the Cursor IDE I have connected my Gmail, right? So now I have successfully connected my Gmail. So I'm going to close this. Now I'm kind of creating a new chart. Okay, here now I'm going to give a prompt. What I'm going to say is I get the details from my LinkedIn, and kind of create a cover letter for me and send it to so and so person, right? So I'm just giving that prompt as input, right? The prompt is available in your cheat sheet, so you can, from the cheat sheet, you can get the prompt, right? So I have written my prompt. So in my prompt says get my details from LinkedIn. Okay, so it is saying get my details from LinkedIn, apply for a job at so and so company. Here I'm giving the company name, right? So probably I'm mentioning my company name as Google. Okay, write a short cover letter and send everything to so and so person. So here I'm giving a different email. So I'm probably giving Revant at the rate nextshare.x. So in this way, I can use any email. You can send it to any different person, right? This email will be sent from your Gmail account, right? So I'm clicking all of this thing, and I'm pressing enter, right? So now here what is happening is the cursor will now use both the MCPs, right? So first from LinkedIn, it should get my LinkedIn details. So for that, I'm getting get current member profile. So that tool it is calling. I'm just clicking on run tool. So it will get all my entire profile. Okay. So now, and then it is also searching on Google on what are the available jobs on Google, right? So it is searching the internet. So for that also, I have clicked on run tool. So now it is sharing me the entire plan, right? So it is saying that this is your LinkedIn details, and the relevant job for you is software engineer 3 at Google Cloud or software engineer PhD, right? So these are the relevant jobs. Now it is going to create a cover letter for me, send these details and the cover letter to so and so email, right? So it is asking, do you want to target a specific Google job or location, or should I use a generic location? So I'm saying it is generic, and then should I use a current role as your most recent work experience? I'm saying yes. So I'm just confirming these details. I'm clicking yes and proceed. Okay. If there is any changes, you can make the changes here, right? So now what is happening is it is going to compose a cover letter for me and then send an email. You can see the tool, right? Send email tool is now being called, right? So now this run tool I'm clicking. So this now the tool is running. So let's wait and see. So now it is saying your LinkedIn details are and a short cover letter is sent to the email, right? So I have received the email as well. So without leaving the IDE itself, I am able to get all my details from LinkedIn, search about the jobs of Google on internet, and also kind of create a cover letter and send the email. Are you guys understanding how beautiful, how many actions we are able to now perform with the help of MCP? Are we able to, without MCP, can we do this entire thing on ChatGPT? No, right? So MCP is the key here in terms of connecting the real world tools to your corresponding AI assistants, right? So using MCP, you can connect any of the real world tools to your AI assistants and perform a lot of multiple actions, right? So now the email is successfully sent. So let's go to my Gmail and see if I have sent this email or not, right? I'm opening my Gmail, and in the sent folder, I'll see. So an email is sent. Uh, Software engineer application, Revan Gopi Konakanchi. Dear hiring team, I am Revan Gopi Konakanchi, currently serving as head of engineering at NextWave. I am writing to express my interest in software engineer position 3 at Google. My passion about scaling systems, and so in this way, it has successfully, all my information is absolutely appropriate, right? It is giving my designation. Inform anything about this in my prompt? No, right? So all of this information is fetched from my LinkedIn, and based on that, it is creating a cover letter and sending an email, right? So are you guys able to understand how beautiful this is? How much effectively you can send a lot of emails to multiple different companies, completely tailored to that company specific use case, right? So that's the beauty of MCP, right? So now we have successfully completed the second project as well. So now let's move to the next one, right? And before that, you can also explore more details. There are multiple different actions in Gmail, right? So it can kind of send emails, it can kind of see if there are any unread emails, search all those emails. So you guys can explore those things as well. All you have to do is simply ask multiple different questions here, and based on the available tools, it is able to kind of fetch all those information for you, right? So I'll leave this part to you guys. You can explore all the possible multiple different tools, even in LinkedIn, even in Gmail, and also you can connect other multiple MCP servers as well, right? So you can just go to Pipedream, explore multiple different MCP servers, connect all of them, and you can do multiple different activities. The fourth question: what type of data can MCP servers provide to an AI model? Option A, only static text files. Option B, only images and videos. Option C, tools, APIs, and contextual data from external systems. Option D, only user prompts. 5 seconds again on the clock. Let's go. The correct answer is option C, tools, APIs, and contextual data from external systems. Let's move on and continue learning. Right. So in the next project, now we are going to kind of work on railways. So I think this is very common use case for each and every one of us, right? So you might be traveling from one place to other. You want to explore multiple different trains. What are the available seats? What all this information you want to explore, right? So typically, what you do is you go to the IRCTC website or Make My Trip or any particular website, and kind of explore all of this. What if you can do all of this using your cursor ID itself, right? So now let's explore that. So for this thing, we are going to use the public Railways MCP server. Okay, using that server, the server MCP server link is available in a cheat sheet. We'll add that particular server link to our cursor ID. So we'll connect that particular server to a cursor ID. Here we are not going to use Pipedream, but we are going to use a different one. Okay, so we'll connect that to our cursor ID, and then we are going to kind of ask multiple different questions, right? So let's go and add that. So I'm going to settings again, tools and integrations. I'm going to add a new MCP server again. Okay, here now I'm again kind of going to paste that particular URL, right? So I have successfully added my Railways MCP URL as well. So again I'm going to save this file and close this JSON. So here you can see the list of available tools, right? So there are 8 tools available. So let's see what are these tools. So it can get the train information, it can get the train live status, it can search for trains, get station code, get train code, get seat availability. And in this way there are multiple different actions. So now let's use this Railways MCP and kind of see if I can find some trains. Okay, so I'm kind of again opening a new chart. So you can just click on plus to every time open a new chart. Okay, so now I'm typing I want to do travel from Hyderabad to Vijayawada on let's give some particular date on 21st July. Okay, find me the available trains. So now, the first thing it is doing is it is trying to get the station code. I have just mentioned Hyderabad and Vijayawada, right? So, but these have to be converted into station codes, right? So for Hyderabad, it will have SC. For Vijayawada, it will have BZA. So in this way, the station codes have to come. So for that, it is running a tool, right? So I'm clicking on Run Tool. It will ask you multiple times for getting multiple different station codes. So now I'm calling, it is calling search trains. So now it has got this train code. So now it is calling search trains. I'll just click on run tool. So you can see here, right? So these are the multiple different trains that are available on a so and so date, right? So it is also giving when is the departure time, when is the arrival time, how much duration, and all these things. So now let's say I'll probably ask if there are any seats available, right? So get me available seats in. We'll probably ask for Vande Bharat. Okay, I'll copy this train name and I'll just put the train name, and I'll give on particular date on, say, let's say on 21st July, right? So now let's say if it is going to get me available seats. Right. So it is saying there is no seat availability information. So we can, kind of ask for different dates, or, kind of check for a different train and all these things as well. Right. So in this way, you can, kind of play around with the Railways MCP as well. You can ask for different information. You can ask for, train live status, any delay information, and all these things as well. So you can decide whether, if this is going to work or not based on the available tools. Right. So you can go to the settings. In the settings as well, if in the tools and integrations, uh, right. So here, when you expand the available tools, here you can see what are the different tools that are available, like get live station info, get train live status, search for trains. So all of these things are, different available tools which you can use to get more information about the railways. In this way, we are right now able to, all of this is live information, right? So it is not some fixed information which is already the LLM knows, right? So all this live information, the LLM is, going to, kind of use the railways APIs, and using the railways MCP server, it is going to fetch that information and show it to you, right? So in this way, you can use multiple different MCP servers, multiple different use cases. So one thing you can do is, one, for example, you can think of use cases like, let's say, you want to, block your calendar. For example, you have booked a train. Now you want to, add it to your calendar. You can connect the Google Calendar MCP and, kind of tell the same prompt to add it to your calendar, right? So that's how you can effectively do this, right? So now let's move to the next thing. Right. So now in this project, we are, going to make it more and more interesting. So we are going to use 11 Labs and Twilio to make a phone call for you, right? So using this MCP itself, using the IDE itself, we'll make a phone call. So what the use case is, probably let's say there's a lot of tech updates that are happening every day, right? So what we'll do is we'll create an agent which will, kind of fetch all the latest tech updates, okay, and give you a phone call, and, kind of in the on the phone call it will tell you all these updates, right? So does it sound interesting? So by end of this project, you'll get a phone call. On the phone call, you'll get all major tech updates that are happening, right? So for that, we are going to, use multiple different tools. So first thing is 11 Labs. So 11 Labs is a service where, you can use it for, creating voice based AI experiences, right? So using 11 Labs, you can generate AI based voices, ask it to read out something for you, and all these things. Similarly, we'll use Twilio. Twilio is also an a tool where we are going to, kind of make for use for making phone calls, right? So for if the AI has to make a phone call, it should also have a number and all, right? So for that, we'll be using Twilio, right? And then we'll connect this Twilio and 11 Labs, and by end of this project, from Twilio, you'll get it will search for all the latest information that is happening on particular tech updates, and it will make a phone call and give you all those updates, right? So you can use this for multiple different use cases. You can make a phone call to, kind of send a reminder to your mom, or send a reminder to your friend, or, you can use this phone call to, order a pizza for you. So there are multiple different use cases that you can think of, right? So now let's see how we can do this, right? Great. So now first we are going to create these accounts. We'll create a 11 Labs account, and we'll also create a Twilio account, right? So now let's go to all of these steps. Every step is very detailed in your cheat sheet. If you're missing, if you miss something, you can always refer to your cheat sheet. So all of these steps are very detailedly explained in the cheat sheet, right? So again, all the links are also provided in the cheat sheet. So I'm just opening 11 Labs. So I can just sign up for a free account. So I'll just sign up with Google. I'm clicking on continue. Right. So once I go here, you need to select the conversational AI tab and click on agree. Right. So here in your profile, you'll get the API keys. Right. So go to the API key and kind of create a new API key. Okay. So I'm just mentioning Twilio integration, and I'm turning off this restrict key. I'm just turning off this and create. Okay. So I need to copy this API key and save it. So you can just create some new Google Doc. Right. I'm just mentioning 11 labs key. I'm just saving it. Okay. We'll use this further. So make sure you copy and save it. Okay. Right. I'm just copying to the clipboard and I'm closing this. So to get to the API key tab, I'm just showing you again. So on your profile section, you just click on here, and here you can see the API keys. Okay, right. So now I have successfully created my 11 Labs account, and I have also created an API key. Right. So now let's go to Twilio and also create an account there. Right. I'm just going to Twilio. So I'm just created Twilio account. Again, I'm just signing up with Google. I'm just clicking on continue. If they already have an account, I'm just clicking on continue and I'm just entering my password. If you don't have an account, you can create a new account. So it's asking for verification code. I'll just check my verification code and add it. So it's asking to verify your phone number. You can verify your phone number. Right, it's giving some recovery code. I'm just copying it, and in the same doc, I'm just pasting it. I'm just clicking on continue. So successfully, I have logged into my Twilio account. For you guys also, after you sign up, it will ask for verification, and you can complete the verification and come to the Twilio console. Okay, so here now we are going to do certain things. Right. Once you come to the Twilio homepage, here you can see, kind of, I'm clicking on get a phone number. So it will create a phone number for me. Right. So once you log in into Twilio, here on the left side, you can see the develop tab. Right. So in the develop tab, by default for you, probably this phone numbers will not be visible. You can just click on X, but you will see some link called explore products. Right. So you can click on explore products. In the explore products, if you scroll down, you can see the phone numbers. Right. So you can click on phone numbers. So once you click on phone numbers, this left side tab will come up, right? So in the left side tab, go to active numbers, and here you can buy a new number, right? So you can just click on buy a number, right? So you can see the list of available numbers. You can just select any one particular number and click on buy. So you'll see some fee and all, but since you'll be having some credits, you can just click on I agree and comply and click on buy. Right. So now you have successfully purchased your number. You can see this thing. So here, once you go to the active numbers tab, you can see the number, right? So now click on this particular number. and go to the configuration, right? So here in the configuration, listen to this carefully. In the configuration, you can click on when a call comes in, right? So here, webhook, here instead of this, you need to give the 11 labs. This link is available in the cheat sheet. So go to the cheat sheets and copy this particular link. Okay. So go to phone numbers and paste this particular link, right? So this is the change that you have to do. Okay, and click on save configuration, right? So this is the change that you have to do on the Twilio account. Okay, right? So now copy this phone number and we need to link this in our 11 labs account. So let's go to 11 labs. In 11 labs, you can see the here in this drop down, select the conversational AI. Okay, there will be two options: creative platform and conversational AI. Select the conversational AI. In the conversational AI, now you can add phone numbers, right? So here in the phone numbers, add an import number. Okay, import from Twilio. You can just give it some name, probably some tech updates. Okay, and paste the phone number, right? And also you need to provide your Twilio SID. So you can find your Twilio SID here, right? So for getting your Twilio SID, go to the account dashboard and you don't have to do anything. Just scroll here so you can find your Twilio SID account ID, right? So you can just copy this account ID and paste it in your 11 labs, right? And then it will ask for Twilio auth token. The auth token as well, you can again find it here. You can just copy it here and paste it in your 11 labs, right? So you need to provide the phone number, Twilio account ID, and Twilio auth token, right? So you'll get this thing when you click on the import phone number, right? So I'll just click on import, and the outbound call is now the phone number is now successfully added, right? So now in the next step, right? So here now we are kind of going to do the next steps. So far, let's see what we have done. So we have created an 11 labs account, and then we have created a Twilio account, and then linked both the Twilio and 11 labs account, right? So we have completed the first three steps. In the next step, now we are going to kind of install the Python 3 environment for our cursor ID, right? So for that thing, how do you install it is provided in your cheat sheets. You have to go to the browser and kind of download the Python package and install it for Windows. Similarly, for Ubuntu and Mac as well, there are multiple different instructions. So you can refer to the cheat sheets to install the Python 3, right? So even if you're getting some errors and all, you can refer to the cheat sheet to resolve them, right? So once you install Python, open the cursor IDE. So in the cursor IDE, you can kind of go to this menu and click on terminal and create a new terminal, right? So once you open the terminal, you can just type python minus version and you'll get the Python version, right? So in this way, you can check if your Python is successfully installed or not. Okay, so once you install Python, the next step is to install the 11 Labs MCP server. So for that as well, the instructions are provided in the cheat sheet. You can refer to them. So I'm just running this command pip install 11 Labs MCP. So the MCP is getting installed. Right. So now the 11 Labs MCP is also installed. So next step, we are going to generate the MCP config file. You can follow the next steps provided here. So this is the command python -m 11 labs underscore MCP -- API key and print. So now this API key initially we have created for 11 labs, right? So we'll get that and paste it here. Okay, I'm pasting my API key here. Make sure you're keeping this API key private. So from this thing, you can see the corresponding MCP config, right? So you can just you have to copy this entire MCP config and paste it in your cursor setting, right? So I'm just copying this. Here I'm adding a new MCP server, and here I'm pasting the corresponding 11 labs MCP config. Okay, right. So if you see my MCP JSON, now I have LinkedIn, Gmail, Indian Railways, and then I also have 11 labs, right? So this thing I'm just kind of saving it. You need to make sure you are saving the JSON file, and then go to the cursor settings. So here you can see the 11 Labs MCP tools as well, right? Okay. So here you can see the list of available tools, right? Text to speech, speech to text, get voice, voice clone, and all these things, right? So in this way, I have successfully connected my 11 Labs MCP server to my cursor, right? So with this, I have completed the all the prerequisite steps. Now let's start interacting with it, right? So I'm just closing this cursor settings. I'm just clicking on new chat. Okay. So now what we have to do is we have to tell 11 Labs to create an agent and make a phone call, right? So further also the prompt is provided in the cheat sheets. You can refer to the cheat sheets. I'm just pasting this prompt here, right? So what I'm saying is, I'm saying create an agent that makes an outbound call to update someone about recent tech updates. Okay. Use a confident and friendly tone, like a hopeful colleague. Deliver updates about the latest AI programming and cybersecurity. Keep the explanation short and clear and jargon free. Use my voice, female, for the call. The agent should sound like a tech savvy friend, not a salesperson. And the first message should be so and so. Okay, these are certain instructions which I'm giving to 11 Labs to create this particular agent, right? So I'll just press enter. Right. So I have given the prompt, and this is kind of telling that it's calling a create agent. Okay. So I'm just running this tool. So it has successfully created the agent, Tech News Buddy, and it has followed these particular instructions as well. So now let's use this agent to make a call. So let's see how it's going to work. Right. So now I'm asking it to provide to make a call to my number. So I'm just entering my number as input. So it is calling a list of phone numbers. I'm just running this tool. So now it's asking for making an outbound call. So let's see. I'm going to now get a call. Right. So it is saying the call is initiated. You can see I have received the call as well. So let's answer the call.
You have a trial account. You can remove this message at any time by upgrading to a full account. Press any key to execute your code.
Hey, I've got some quick tech updates for you. Should I go ahead?
Yeah, please, let's go.
All right, so first up, AI is getting even better at understanding us, which means more useful and less frustrating interaction. Also, there are some new cybersecurity threats to watch out for, mainly phishing scams that are getting harder to spot. Finally, in the programming world, there's a big push towards simpler code. Did any of that catch your interest? Or should I dive a bit deeper into one of these topics?
I like the AI part. So let's understand how MCPs are helping AI.
I am sorry, I am not familiar with MCPs. Can you clarify what you mean?
Right. You dive deep into the AI part.
Sure thing. Recently, AI models have gotten much better at understanding natural language. This means they can grasp the nuances in our questions and give more accurate and helpful responses. It's like they're finally getting what we actually mean, not just the words we use. Want to know more about how this is being applied?
No, I think I'm good. I'm good for this part.
Great. Glad I could help. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Right. So you can see, right, I have successfully received a call. I didn't do I didn't open the 11 Labs, or I didn't do anything on the 11 Labs console. All I have did is I have asked the AI to do this thing for me. So I can now, since mine is a trial account, it makes a call to my number. But once you upgrade this to a paid account, you can make a call to any number. You can make it to call your mom. You can make it to call a different person, and kind of give different updates, or any information that you would want to pass on. Or I can also I've told a different example, right? You can ask it to make restaurant orders for you, and all these kind of interesting things, right? So we have successfully completed this project as well. So here I'll once again revisit the entire thing. So in this project, what we are doing is we are trying to make a phone call on behalf of the AI is making a phone call on behalf of us, and kind of giving you a lot of tech updates, right? So for this thing, we have used 3 different tools. One is the 11 Labs, where you have created an account. 11 Labs is the voice assistant, which you have created an account, and then you have used Twilio to assign a phone number in 11 Labs and connected the Twilio account to your 11 Labs, right? So once you have done all these prerequisite steps, you have also added an MCP server for Twilio, right? Using this 11 Labs MCP server, now you're able to kind of create an agent, get all the latest tech news, and kind of make a phone call for you, right? So does it sound very interesting for you, right? So now I am also very excited to see what are the different possible phone call use cases that you can do. You can record these phone calls and kind of post it on your LinkedIn, share it with us. We'll be very happy to kind of see how these are going to kind of how you guys are going to kind of use this particular integration, where you have using 11 labs, you have using Twilio, you have using the MCPs to kind of make a phone call for you, right? So up to now we have successfully completed 4 different projects, right? So you have connected MCPs with multiple different tools like LinkedIn, Gmail, Railways, and then we have also used 11 labs, Twilio to kind of create multiple different projects, right? So if you have come up to this far, you have completed 4 successful projects using MCPs in this very short period of 2.5 hours, then you need to appreciate yourselves and pat yourselves on your back. So you have took a huge leap in terms of using these MCPs and understanding the concept of MCPs fundamentally, and kind of using these MCPs multiple tools and applications that you're going to build, right? So this in itself would add a lot of value, a lot of weight to your resume, and also enable you and unlock you a lot of opportunities in your career as well, right? So let's once kind of recap what we have done so far. So we have understood what MCPs are, how the MCP communication flow works, and then in the hands-on part, we have used multiple different tools like the Pipedream MCP servers, and then also we have used the Cursor as an MCP host, and kind of used multiple different third-party tools like it could be LinkedIn, it could be Railways, Gmail, or this in terms of 11 labs, and multiple different tools, right? So you can also even furthermore explore what are the different options available in Pipedream, what are the different tools. There are around close to 2000 plus tools in Pipedream, right? So you can explore what are all these tools and kind of use them to connect them to Cursor IDE, and kind of use them as in a chat mode, and perform actions on behalf of you, and also get a different real-time information using these LLMs as well, right? So if you have completed up to this part, then you need to appreciate yourselves. And in the next part, we are also going to understand how developers are going to use MCPs, right? Up to now it's more on you have used MCPs with the existing chatbots, right, with the existing Cursor ID, right? So in the next part of the project, if you are to build your own AI assistant, right, how are you going to do, right? So that is what we are going to cover in the next part. So let's dive deep into it. The fifth question: which statement best describes why MCP is important for AI automation? Option A: it replaces all APIs with natural language. Option B: it works only with one AI editor. Option C: it removes the need for authentication. Option D: it allows AI models to safely and consistently use external tools across different platforms. 5 seconds on the clock. Let's go. The correct answer is option D. It allows AI models to safely and consistently use external tools across different platforms. Let's move on and continue learning. So here, primarily cover how developers are going to build these applications using MCPs. This is where all the code and logic comes in. So let's dive deep into this. But one thing I want to be very clear is whatever you have done up to this part is in itself a big achievement that you have unlocked for yourselves, right? Even in the next part, if the bit of code is not clear for you because of lack of exposure to Python or any other fundamentals, so the next part is going to be a bit tricky. You just have to understand the fundamentals of Python and everything to get to the next part, right? So but whatever you have done up to here, you need to kind of appreciate yourselves and kind of share it with your friends, family, and everything, and share it on your LinkedIn's and be very happy about it, because the way in which industry is embracing MCPs, if you fundamentally have understood the concept of MCPs and also use them to build different tools, different projects that we have done so far, that in itself has unlocked a lot of opportunities for you, right? So here what we are going to do is, up to now we have used Cursor IDE as our MCP host, right? So now instead of using Cursor IDE, we are going to build our own chatbot, right? So we are going to build our own application where we're going to write Python code, and within the Python code we'll also use multiple different frameworks as well, and link these MCP servers all together, right? So let's go to this. For this part, I'll explain what the project is. So fundamentally, you guys are learning different technologies, right? Python, or be it web development, or be it these MCPs, or multiple things, right? So let's say if you want to create a study plan for yourself, right? So for that thing we are going to use this particular tool, right? So the simple use case could be, I want to learn Python basics for 5 days, create me a learning path. Then, this particular, tool is going to, kind of use the YouTube MCP to, search for different YouTube defense materials and, kind of curate a very, relevant learning path for you and create a very detailed document where, you can refer to this learning path and start building it. So now let's explore this particular, how do we do this entire thing in a code? So the key difference between the previous projects and this thing is, in the previous projects, we have used Cursor IDE in itself as the MCP host. But in this project, we are going to build our own application, our own code, to use these MCPs and, kind of, build an end outcome, right? So let's go. So for this part, there are certain prerequisites again. So let's first clear those prerequisites and then, start building the project, right? So for this particular project, we have also shared a code for you, and all of this code is available in the reference material in the sheets that you're going to find in your learning platform. And from there, you can clone this code, download this entire code as zip file, extract it, and start using it. Okay, so let's get started with that. Right. So in this project, now, if you open your cheat sheet, you'll find a GitHub repository link. Right, so you can open the GitHub repository link and either clone the project or you can download it. You can see my screen, right? So here you can go to the code and either you can clone it using the link or you can download the zip file. So let's go with downloading the zip file. So I'll just download this thing, and then I'm going to extract this particular project. Right. So you can see the particular folder as well, MCP learning path demo, right? So now we'll open this particular project in Cursor, right? So I'm going to Cursor and, here I'm just, kind of clicking on open project. And in the open project, I'm going to my downloads and selecting this particular folder. Okay, you need to select the entire folder. Okay, select the folder and select here. Now this will open this entire project in your Cursor IDE. So you can find the project here, right? Let's hide this thing. So now you can see this project, right? So for this project as well, you need the Python version installed. So I'll just go to terminal. Okay. So I'm just opening the terminal and trying to enter Python -+ version, and you can find the Python version, right? Once this is done, I'm just opening this particular project and kind of trying to install the requirements. Okay, I'm just typing pip install -r requirements.txt. Okay, just a minute. So I'm just trying to install all the requirements that are required for this particular project. You can, run this particular command. This command is also available in your cheat sheet. You just run this particular command and then all the requirements will be installed. And then in this project, you can see the code, right? So you'll be having two different files. One is app.py, where, all the UI is present. You need to understand, Streamlit a bit here. If you're not aware of Streamlit, that's particularly fine. Don't worry about it. That's not a problem. And then there is one more file called utils.py. So this file contains all the MCP logic, that we are going to use. Okay, so let's, once these requirements are installed, we'll also understand, how the code in this particular file works. Okay. We'll just wait for a few minutes for the requirements to get installed. Right. So now all my requirements got installed. So after this, what I have to do is, run this following command: streamlit run app.py. Right. So now once I run this particular command, you can see this particular URL getting open, localhost :8501. Right. So you can see the UI here. So this is an application that we have created on our own. Right. So this is not any other chatbot that we're using, but we are creating an application on our own, inside which we'll write all the logic, all the code related to the MCPs. Okay, right. So you can see this UI. We do not worry about what is the code for this particular UI, but our focus should be more on the utils file. So now in this UI, let's first understand the functionality.
So here, what this UI is doing is, what this application is doing is, it's using the Gemini's API, okay, Gemini LLM, okay, Gemini is 2.5 LLM, and then it's also using YouTube and Google Drive's Pipebeam MCPs, and then kind of creating a learning path form. So what happens is, I need to provide my Google's Gemini's API key, okay, and these two MCP URLs. And once I provide this thing, I need to enter my goal. So my goal could be, I want to learn Python basics in 3 days, or I want to learn data science basics in 10 days. Okay. So now once I enter this goal, then what happens is, this information is sent to the LLM along with the list of available tools in the MCP. Okay. Then LLM will decide which tool to use. Okay. And then kind of get all the data and finally write all this data on the Google Doc. Right. I think this is the entire application is clear. So now let's go into the code part. Okay. So now if you see the code part, right. So now if you see the code part, I'm using LangChain. Okay. LangChain is also a package that is coming from Python. You can install it from the pip package using LangChain, and also the LangChain's MCP's methods. I'm going to do it. So if you see here, I am first initializing the model, right? So we discussed that, overall in the MCP architecture, we'll have an LLM fundamental, right? So that model is the Gemini 2.5 Flash. Okay. This is the model I'm using, and the Google API key, which I'm going to create, I'm going to pass it here. Okay. Now, based on this model, I'm creating an agent. Okay. So this agent will have a set of tools. Okay. So if you see here, I'm in the tools config. Okay, this is a dictionary. I'm adding YouTube as well as I'm adding Google Drive. If I'm providing Notion, I'm adding Notion. So this tools config file, this dictionary will have all the list of available tools as an MCP. Okay, so here it is having YouTube, it is having Pipebeam, Google Drive's Pipebeam, and also Notion's Pipebeam URL. So from this particular tools config, I'm creating an MCP client. You can see here, right? So MCP client equals to multi-server MCP client of tools config. So I'm creating this multi-server MCP client is coming from the LangChain SDK. Okay. So I'm creating an MCP client, and now this MCP client will, first fetch the list of all available tools, right? So for example, let's say YouTube has, like 10 to 15 tools. Similarly, let's say Google Drive has some 10 to 15 tools. So all of those tools are fetched, and this tools key will hold all these tools. Now I'm initiating the model, MCP orchestration model, and now I'm creating a React agent for which I'm passing this MCP, this particular model, as well as the tools, right? So now the model will determine which from the list of available tools, which tool it has to use and perform the next set of actions. Okay. So now the agent is created and the agent is written. Okay. So now in the next step, I'm running this particular agent, right? So here I'm taking the user goal, right? This user goal is passed here, and you can see the agent being created, right? Set up the agent with the tools. Once the agent is created, I'm passing a learning path prompt. So if you see the prompt.py, this prompt file contains all the instructions that the agent has to follow, right? So it is saying that your main instruction is that you are a day-wise learning path generator. You'll be given a goal. You have to, create a comprehensive day-wise learning path for the user goal in the Google Drive, right? For that, I'm also mentioning the step-by-step execution flow. You must follow these steps sequentially. First, you have to, based on the user goal, think of a learning path. Okay. The learning path will contain, like 5 to 6 different modules. So for each module, then, you have to use the YouTube's MCP. You can see here, right? For each topic identified in the plan, search and identify the multiple relevant YouTube video URLs and that serve as learning outcomes. So all of this thing will, then go to YouTube's MCP, and, it will search for different video URLs and return it back to the LLM. Now the LLM will again determine which is the right video and, collate that particular video. So this happens for each particular module. And, once all the modules videos are generated, that entire information is, at the end written into the Google Drive. So you can see here. create and populate a Google Drive or document and paste the formatted text and save that Google document, right? So in this way, this is the entire prompt. You can go through this entire prompt. There is a very clear, detailed set of instructions which it has to follow, and then the Gemini LLM will follow these instructions and use the tools wherever it is applicable. You can see here, right? Right. So here, when you see, you're invoking the agent with the user information, and also you're passing all these particular tools, right? So based on that, the React agent, which is an again LangChain concept, it will create an agent and do all these series of steps and return the final response for you, right? So this is the entire code. You can go through the code. This code is accessible for you guys. Whichever students can understand this particular code. If you are trying to build your own AI agents, this is the approach that you have to take, right? So this is the entire code that is present. Now let's run this application and see how this is going to work, right? So for this thing, for us to run this particular application, we have to do three different things. One is create a Gemini API key, and then create YouTube's pipe dream URL and Google Drive's pipe dream URL, right? So let's do these three steps now. So to create the Gemini API key, you have to go into AI Studio. This link is also given for you in the cheat sheets. So you have to open this particular link, aistudio.google.com, and kind of get an API key. Okay, so once you open this here, you will find an option to build with Gemini API and create an API key. So click on this get API key, and here create the API key. When you click on this create API key in a new project, you can select this particular thing. It will create a new API key for you. You just have to copy this API key. Make sure you are saving this. You can save it in the Google Doc itself. Gemini API key. Right. So now this is the first step, right? So you have to go to aistudio.google.com and kind of create an API key for yourself, and then save that particular API key. And then again, I'm going to the pipe dream. Here now I'm going to connect both two MCPs. One is my YouTube account and then my Google Drive account, right? So now let's get started. So I'm just, you guys know the drill, right? So you just have to, select the particular tool. So you can just select the YouTube data, connect your account. And just, you can select all the available options. So I have successfully connected my Google account. So here you need to copy this MCP server URL. Since we are not using any Claude, OpenAI, Cursor or anything, we are just trying to create our own application, right? So all you have to do is copy this MCP server URL. So I'm just copying, and then I'm adding it to my doc. In the same fashion, I'm also going to kind of create an Google Drive MCP as well. Right, so I'm connecting my Google Drive account. So similarly, I need to copy this MCP server URL. I'm just copying it and kind of saving it in my doc. Right. So I have completed all the three steps that are required. One is, creating Gemini API key. Second is, YouTube MCP and Google Drive MCP, right? So one key thing you guys have to remember is you don't have to worry about the code which I have mentioned earlier. If you are able to understand the code, that's a very added advantage. But even if you don't understand the code, you can continue with the, the hands-on part as well, right? So here now, in the localhost colon 8501, which is the application which I have, I'm going to input all these three keys, okay? Right. I'm also providing the YouTube MCP. Then similarly, since I'm using Google Drive, I'm giving Google Drive MCP. If you're using Notion, you can use Notion MCP as well, right? I have provided these 3 links. Okay. Now I'm going to enter my learning path, learning goal, right? So now I'll just enter, I want to learn Python in 7 days. You can give any of your learning goals. If you, for example, if you're preparing for a company, you can just mention that I want to, learn so and so concepts for a company in so and so days, right? So again, in this way, you can provide a very effective learning goal. Okay, and then now, since you have given all these 3 things, I'm going ahead and creating a learning path, right? So this will take a few minutes for us to for the learning path to get created. So let's understand what's happening behind the scenes. So if you see the logs, setting up agent with the tools. So first thing is based on the available MCPs you have provided, it will create the list of it will get all the available tools, right? So now all these tools along with the LLM, since we have passed the Google's API key as well, Gemini's LLM with these tools will work behind the scenes to generate the learning path. For that, we are creating a learning path, learning goal, as well as we have created a very detailed prompt which the AI should follow to give us the effective outcome, right? So in this way, Gemini is acting as the LLM, and we are using 2 different MCPs here. And then these are the MCP servers that we are using. And this your application, your Python code is acting as the host application or the client that you are going to use, right? I think this will give you a overall understanding of how you can use MCPs in the code, right? So we'll just wait for a few minutes for the learning path to get created, right? So all the steps are completed. So you can see here, I want to learn Python. This is your user goal, and it has created a very detailed plan, and it has also collated a lot of YouTube resources as well, and kind of created a learning path for you, right? So you can see here that your learning path is created. 2 things that it has done. It has created a very detailed learning path. So you can open this Google Doc and see. So this Google Doc is automatically created using the Google Drive MCP. So you can see here, 7-day learning path for Python. Day 1, this is the topic, and this is the YouTube link you have to follow. Day 2, operations and conditional statements. Day 3, loops, while and lists. And then data structures, functions, file handling. And day 7, introduction to object-oriented programming. So in this way, it has successfully created very detailed learning path for you, which you can follow in the next 7 days, right? And one very interesting thing is, it has also created a YouTube playlist for you. You can see here, right? In your own YouTube account, it has created a 7-day learning path for you, and you can find the list of videos over here, right? So in this way, you can effectively create and you have created your own chatbot, like your own AI application, where you have given an input of your learning goal, and it has created a very detailed learning path for you, and also it has created an YouTube playlist which you can use to further work. One more addition that you can do is you can integrate the Google Calendar MCP and also create a daily reminder for you at that particular point of time. So I leave that part for you guys to do your own hands-on and kind of add that particular code and try to explore how it can be done, right? So just to summarize what this particular project is, we have created our own AI application, right? So we haven't used Cursor so far in this. We have used it only for looking into the code, but we haven't used the Cursor chart, right? So we're not using any of the Cursor chart here. So we're using our own AI application where we have written some Python code, okay, to create this interface and also kind of use this particular MCPs. We have used Google Drive's MCP and YouTube MCP and Gemini LLM to kind of do the desired action for us, right? We have created our own prompt. We have created our own code, right? We have used LangChain where we have connected all these MCPs and also the LLM to work together and create a response, right? So you can review the code as well. You can go through the entire code to understand more and more in detail as well, right? So with this thing, you have mastered how you can create MCP applications on your own. So you should be very proud of yourself, right? In this approach, you can create any type of AI applications, using Python or React or anything. You can create some UI user interfaces and connect all of this thing and create a very purposeful application using MCPs, right? So that's what this project is all about, right? So now we have completely come to the end of these 5 projects that we have done in this particular workshop. So initially we have used Cursor, and then at the last project we have written our own code. We have created our own AI application which uses these LLMs and MCPs to kind of create a learning path for us, right? So you can further refine this particular project. You can add more and more different MCP servers and experiment with multiple different things. Let's once again recap what we have done in this entire workshop, right? So initially we have discussed what LLMs are, what are the limitations with LLMs, how LLMs plus function calling will provide real-time access for the LLMs. But again, over there are certain limitations in terms of scaling these real-time applications. Okay, for a LLM to work with multiple real-time applications, it becomes a limitation, right? So that's why we discussed MCP is a way forward. MCP is a standard protocol introduced by Anthropic, right? So Anthropic introduced this protocol, and all the major companies have adopted this protocol and defined unified path which you can directly link these MCP servers to your applications. So now LLMs work with these particular MCP applications, these MCP servers, and on top of it you can create a lot of AI applications, right? So in the projects part, we have tried upon multiple different projects using your LinkedIn, using your Gmail, using Railways MCP, or we also did one more interesting project where we made a phone call using AI without doing any code or anything. We have simply used these MCPs to make a phone call. I'm very interested to see what are the different phone call use cases that you guys would try upon, and like you can share off all those things in the project submissions. And at the end of the project, then the fifth project, we have also kind of gone ahead and kind of understood how AI applications can be built on our own, right? So we have written some code, used Streamlit to kind of create that interface, and kind of given some input goal, and it has created an learning path document for us, right? So we didn't go to Google Drive and create anything. It's all done using the MCPs, right? In the same way, it has also created a YouTube playlist for us, right? So in this way, we have effectively learned how we can use MCPs and build real world applications integrating them with AI, right? So that's the overall summary of this workshop. Now it's your turn to kind of take this workshop, use the cheat sheets to do all these projects hands-on, right? To kind of get more clarity and do the hands-on on your own. You'll only learn projects, you'll only learn about MCPs only if you do hands-on. It's try to use Pipedream to look into whatever different possible servers that are available, and kind of link them with your Cursor IDE, and explore with multiple different use cases. At the same time, in the code part as well, you can add more and more MCP servers, and kind of create even more interesting applications on your own, right? So once you complete all these projects, a project submission document is also shared for you. You can refer to that particular document and submit the projects. We are very excited to see what are the different projects that you're building. You can share all these projects on your LinkedIn. You can add them to your resume, and that will unlock immense potential. A lot of companies would kind of, just by looking at what are the different applications that you're building with MCPs, they will know that you're taking a huge leap in terms of learning technology, right? So even employees with years of experience are not aware of what MCPs are. But you guys in your college itself, I'm very proud of you guys. You have spent 3 hours of time to learn what MCPs are, and kind of build this interesting real world application. I'm very eager to see what all applications you guys are going to build, and I'm very eager to see the project submissions you guys are going to make. All the best for you guys.